Well, you could have fried an egg on the brick pavers outside of Wrigley Field earlier today on a blistering hot start to the month of August. And the Cubs hope to stay hot after a great July. It is Game 3 of a 4-game series of Phillies and Cubs splitting the first two as we present Cubs baseball here on Comcast Sportsnet. It's a hot night at Wrigley Field. Bob Brenly and Len Casper with you. And as we start a new month, let's look back at what was a terrific month of July.
It was an awesome month of July for a lot of different reasons, but let's take a look at the numbers for the month of July. Obviously, you'd like some of these to be a little better, the batting average, runs per game, home runs, and stolen bases, but you win baseball games with solid pitching. The ERA led the majors in the month of July. The defense was solid, at times spectacular.
The Cubs also could improve immeasurably against lefties. They've been great against righties. They're going to see Jamie Moyer tonight, and it's been a problem.
You know, I don't think it's so much the fact that they're left-handed. It's the style of pitchers that they are. A lot of the lefties that the Cubs have faced this year have been finesse pitchers, a lot of change-ups away from the right-handed hitters. You see the comparative numbers. They would definitely like to improve upon that.
All right, the veteran left-hander on the mound against not a rookie but a young pitcher. Jamie Moyer's in his 21st season.
And he's been doing it the same way for a long time. He is one of those finesse lefties. Fastballs away, change-ups away, a cutter in occasionally. Coming off a complete game, rain-shortened game, 7 innings, 6 hits, no earned runs against the Pirates.
And Rich Hill's battling the last two starts. He really has kept his team in the game. Hasn't gotten a lot of run support here in 2007. And coming up, it'll be the left-hander Rich Hill going after a powerful Phillies lineup. We'll have Cubs baseball coming up next.
DriveChicago.com. Walgreens, the pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs. Your local area Lexus dealer who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Rico, how well do you print, copy, scan, fax? How well do you share? Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, shining through. Cadillac, Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit. And by Southwest Airlines. With more flights to more places than ever before, Southwest is taking low fares farther. Visit Southwest.com.
Welcome back to the friendly confines, and the wind is blowing in a little bit, maybe across from right to left. But it sure is nice to feel a little bit of a breeze here on maybe the hottest night of the year. And it really has heated up on this homestand, and the Cubs with a chance to take a 2-1 lead in this 4-game series after winning last night. And tonight's giveaway, and a Ramos Ramirez autograph on a Rawlings official baseball. 500 random winners. That great souvenir.
Come on, man, I'm a winner.
Yeah, put that one in a case and put it in the den somewhere. Don't let Junior get a hold of it. I took a Luis Tion autograph baseball and played with it in the backyard until the cover came off. Needless to say, the signature was long gone.
And this crowd's pumped up. Boy, they were giving it to the Phillies during batting practice out in the bleachers.
Oh boy, were they ever.
Before the game today. And Rich Hill getting set to work against this Phillies Southwest starting lineup. Chris Roberson in right, a career high 4 hits in his 07 big league debut last night. Tadahito Iguchi already with a huge series. Jimmy Rollins, the shortstop. Ryan Howard at first. Aaron Rowand out in center. Pat Burrell hit a go-ahead home run last night. Carlos Ruiz, Abraham Nunez, and Jamie Moyer 7 through 9.
And let's take a look at the Cubs defensively. Brought to you by Rico. Move your ideas forward with Rico dependability. Soriano, Jones, and Merton across the outfield tonight. Mark DeRosa spelling Aramis Ramirez at third base. Ronnie Cedeno getting a start at short. Mike Fontenot at second base. Derek Lee over at first. Jason Kendall doing the catching for the big left-hander Rich Hill. I mentioned he hasn't been getting a lot of run support. Some very workmanlike efforts his last couple of starts. Didn't have his best stuff, but tried to keep his team in the ball game, give him a chance to win.
Here's a switch hitting Roberson to start it. 4 for 4 last night. All singles, knocked in a run, stole a base. And here we go. Way outside, ball 1.
Well, and you talked about the fans in the bleachers giving it to the Philly players during batting practice. That probably made the Phillies feel right at home. They get that a lot from their own home fans.
They can get a little chippy or edgy in Philadelphia. In a lot of ways, you have not arrived as a Philly unless you've been booed at home.
Well, they've done it to the best. Hall of Fame players and had tremendous careers for the Phillies at various times throughout those careers. Were not fan favorites.
Fouled back. Let's check in on that weather. 81 degrees, but it was a lot hotter earlier today, especially on the field. Humidity at 50%, and the wind officially blowing in from the east at 5.
Now this is another one of those breezes tonight. We've joked about it over the last couple of homestands. The thin wind. It appears not going to really affect the ball too much.
Topper. Roberson runs well. Hill pretty deliberate. He threw it away. As Derek Lee saw a collision coming and had to get out of the way, and he's safe at second base. Well, we've seen this with Rich a few times, Bob. He's very deliberate when he picks up the baseball, and he just waited too long.
Some pitchers have that unfortunate bad habit. Watch how Rich winds up. He's got the ball in good shape, takes an extra crow hop, and then fires a rocket back into the baseline. Yeah, with that short of a throw, you'd like to think Rich could just scoop that ball up, turn and throw without taking the time to make a crow hop, but unfortunately he did. Gave Roberson a chance to get down that line and made it a very dangerous play at first.
So it's an error on Rich. And the leadoff hitters at second base. Tadahito Iguchi already with a big series. It'll take a while to add everything up. 3 for 6, a double, a home run, an RBI, 4 walks, 2 steals, 2 runs in just 2 games. And then the reply is, would you like something to drink with that? Just a glass of water, thank you.
Thank you. Well, Iguchi will be taking his best shot to move that ball to the right side of the field. Roberson with great speed out there at second base, a big-time base stealer in the minor leagues. But with nobody out in the inning, I don't know if he's going to risk trying to steal third. That's what Iguchi does.
Roberson stopping at third base. First and third with no outs.
Well, Len, I say it all the time. If you try to do the right thing, more often than not, you're going to get good results. And this time, Iguchi gets rewarded not only by moving Roberson up a base, but gets himself a base hit with a little ground ball through the right side.
Yeah, that was all in the swing. I mean, there was a curveball that was coming low and inside. That's a pitch that most right-handed hitters would try to pull. That hit him. Bases loaded. Yikes. An error, a single, and a hit batter. 3 on for Ryan Howard, who has 86 RBIs.
So if there was ever a situation that called for a visit from the pitching coach, it would be this. Make an error on the first play of the game, give up a base hit to the second hitter, hit the third hitter. Let's go back out there, regroup, start over, try to minimize the damage here in the first inning. Nothing you can do about the 3 guys that are already on base. Make some good pitches to Ryan Howard. Try to let your defense get you out of this jam. Well, that ball caught Rollins right on the point of that left elbow, and then as usual, ricochets down, catches Jason Kendall.
And Ryan Howard leads all major league players with 13 homers and 34 RBIs against left-handed pitchers.
Throughout this series, Len, we've seen it. He's had trouble with good fastballs, especially fastballs inside and up above the belt. I think a lot of times when you see those kind of numbers for a left-handed hitter against left-handed pitching, it's because he sits on breaking balls, and when he gets them, he rarely misses them.
Low average, but 4 grand slams in this spot. Cubs just want it out. They have the infield back. Swing and a miss.
There's that heater inside. Just can't seem to get the bat head on that ball inside.
He was not able to extend his arms.
Now, that being said, this is not going to last all season. It may not even last the whole ball game, but so far in this series, the Cubs have had good luck against Howard when they've gone inside hard.
0-2 pitch, struck him out. A couple of good sliders in that exchange, and Rich Hill with a big strikeout has the adrenaline pumping here in the first inning.
Boy, that slider becomes a really devastating pitch on the 0-2 count when you've established inside with the fastball on the pitch before. Feeble swing that time from Ryan Howard.
Doesn't get a lot easier against Aaron Rowan, hitting .325. He just smacked 16 doubles. Almost half of his 2 base hits came in the month of July. The pitch. Strike 1.
Hey, it worked in the ball game last night. I'll point it out again tonight. Aaron Rowan leads this Phillies team with 13 double plays grounded into last year. We said that in the ball game last night. In the 5th inning, he promptly grounded into a double play. Do it again.
Swing and a miss. Like you always say, good visit by the pitching coach. Nothing but strikes since Larry Rothschild came out to the mound.
Good meeting. Good meeting.
Bill needs another put-away pitch. He's not thinking about the guy on deck, but in case you're wondering, it's Pat Burrell. Big leg kick. Still 2 strikes. And Rich has battled lately. His last 3 starts, he's 1-0 with a .237 earned run average. He has not gotten much offensive support. Last 2 starts, the Cubs have given him a grand total of 3 runs. Another 0-2. Called. Strike 3. Throws him on the curveball. You can see Rowan's knees buckling a little bit as he took that called strike 3.
That's when you know you have a good breaking ball as a left-handed pitcher, when you can get that kind of a reaction from a right-handed hitter. That tells you that ball is breaking a long distance and breaking sharp and late. Nice pitch.
Seven consecutive strikes for Hill since the visit from the pitching coach. And Pat Burrell will make you throw strikes. There's a get me over curve. Burrell with a go-ahead home run last night in the 6th inning off Jason Marquis. But the Cubs would come right back in the bottom of the 6th with 3 of their own, and they would pull away 7-3 the final. Came right after he banged a ball off his back knee. So he had to limp around the bases. I guess the best thing to do if you injure your leg in a bat is hit the ball out of the park.
The way you can run the bases at your pace.
The 1-1 from Hill, and got past Burrell, past Kendall, and the Phillies get a run. I wondered if it had hit Burrell, it would have been a similar result. As the Phillies get a run, it's a wild pitch. We've seen a little bit of everything in this inning: an error, a single, a hit batter, a swinging strikeout, a called strikeout, and now a wild pitch. How did it not hit him?
I have no idea how that didn't get a piece of Pat Burrell right there. Easy read for Roberson. A lot of times when that breaking ball is in the dirt, not only will it get past the catcher, but it'll take a big bounce and get past the catcher. Very easy for that runner at third to pick it up and advance.
Burrell hitting 6th in this Phillies lineup. A power-packed lineup. Fouled away, 2-2.
You mentioned the foul ball that Pat Burrell fouled off his back knee against Jason Marquis in the ball game last night. Just crumbled in the batter's box. Took a long time to regroup, but then went way back into the bleachers in left field.
You can get Pat Burrell to swing and miss, but you have to be near the plate. 3-2 on him. He is not afraid to take a walk. He has walked more than he has struck out. 75 walks, 69 Ks. Three-two pitch. Almost hit Iguchi, who was in foul territory, so he would not have been out.
And this is what transpired a couple of pitches after fouling that ball off his knee. Marquis with a fastball up and out over the plate. Good halfway back the bleachers in left center field, and then Burrell limping around the bases.
He's 3 for 5 with 2 home runs against Hill. Gets away from Kendall, but the other runners will stay where they are. Burrell now at first. Carlos Ruiz, a catcher. And a high stress inning. Ball 1. Cubs are a game out in the division, just a half game out, tied for second in the wild card race. We'll keep an eye on all the other action, in particular the Mets and the Brewers. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Jeff Jenkins last night in the 13th with a game-ending 2-run homer. So that kept the Cubs in second place, at least for another day. Oliver Perez and Claudio Vargas on the mound tonight in Milwaukee. Popped up by Ruiz. Right side, it's Derek Lee under it. And that's the third out. Could have been a lot worse as the Phillies get an unearned run. The Cubs coming up when we come back. Alfonso Soriano, Mike Fontenot, Derek Lee, and Mark DeRosa finally getting that start in the cleanup spot. Merton out at right, Cedeno at short, Jock Jones, Jason Kendall, and Rich Hill rounded out.
Take a look at the Phillies defensively. Pat Burrell in left, Aaron Rowand in center, Chris Robertson over in right field, Nunez, Rollins, Iguchi, and Howard across the infield. Carlos Ruiz will be doing the catching tonight for the veteran, Jamie Moyer.
You killed the car. Called strike. Jamie Moyer's been doing this for a long time. The former Cub in his 21st campaign, 31 career complete games. Pitch for Lupinella in Seattle. Crank deep to left and hooked. Foul. Sounded good.
Sound good, look good, and that's what Jamie Moyer will do, especially to right-handed hitters. He'll get him just a little bit out front. He'll get some pitchers, they see a batter drive a ball 350 feet, 370 feet, foul down the left field line. They start to panic out there on the mound a little bit. Jamie Moyer says, thank you very much. Strike two.
His last start was a rain-shortened 7-inning complete game, beating the Pirates 8-1. Ground ball to third, gobbled up by Abraham Nunez. One out.
We don't know what Jamie Moyer is going to do in this ball game tonight. We hope he gets knocked out early, but if he is in the ball game for a while, real good lesson for young pitchers out there. This guy's fastball will top out in the low 80s. His changeup will be in the high 60s, low 70s. I mean, you can't even stretch that to think it's overpowering, but he knows what to do. He moves the ball in and out. Be right around the edges of the strike zone. If he's good, he'll rarely throw a ball down the middle of the plate, and basically does it with two pitches, a fastball and a changeup.
Fontenot gets a hold of one, but it will be hauled in by Roberson. Oh, Bob, I saw Jamie Moyer with his glove walk out to right field around 3 o'clock. I mean, 4 hours before the scheduled first pitch tonight. And play catch on flat ground. He did his normal windup, but on flat ground just to get loose. We've been around starting pitchers who take the team bus to the ballpark, show up at 4:15, 4:30 for a 7:05 start. Now, is that rare? Is that common to have a guy out that early?
I think it's more common for a veteran pitcher. Jamie Moyer certainly knows what his routine has to be at this stage of his career. And by coming out early, I think he just gets the blood flowing a little bit, gets the muscles loosened up, and then probably goes back inside and gets his rub down or massage from the trainer, gets whatever treatments he feels necessary. And when he goes back out to throw his warm-up pitches in earnest, he's ready to go.
Derek Lee finds the alley out in left center. That ball will pop out of the ivy. It'll be a double. His 29th. Tying run in scoring position.
Now, Moyer will give up some base hits because he is around the plate so much. He's not overpowering. Occasionally the hitters are going to square him up, and Derek Lee reaches out, pulls the ball back into the gap in left center field. That Burrow clearing out of the way so Aaron Rowand could come in and make the play.
I hope Mark DeRosa got the lineup card tonight. He was scheduled to hit cleanup on the last road trip, but was moved a little bit later. He was very excited about hitting cleanup for the first time in his career. Well, he gets his chance tonight. Aramis Ramirez just getting the night off. Lou Piniella has tried to stay away from the night game followed by the day game for Aramis after the left knee injury. So Aramis will be back in there tomorrow against right-hander Kyle Loesch, and DeRosa plays third tonight.
You know, and you look for good times to do that as a manager. As you said, the night game, day game flip-flop, but also Aramis Ramirez in a very small sampling is 0 for 5 lifetime against Jamie Moyer. So you look for those kind of numbers to decide when to give one of your starters a day off and have him back fresh the next day.
And You wonder if Aramis was a little tired, had to sign 500 baseballs for the giveaway tonight. Oh, that's nothing, right? What's the most you ever had to sign in one? Probably All-Star festivities, right?
You know, I mean, probably baseball-related memorabilia. I did an appearance out in the Bay Area one time for the IBM student pennant race, and I had to sign 10,000 8x10 photos.
How long did that take?
A while.
Just missed inside. Paul Emmel calling balls and strikes tonight. Dan Iasonia at first, the crew chief Dale Scott, and a few words from Paul Emmel into the Phillies dugout. Good timing. Ron Kulpa's at third. They wanted that last pitch. Foul. I assume that hit the railing. I hope so. There's that opening right in the middle of the Cubs dugout, and you don't want to be standing anywhere near that spot. I saw Carlos Zambrano standing there last night, and he's going to, I thought he was going to sit behind Soriano. Put that pad on. Good idea. A shin guard on his face. DeRosa walks. Merton. Both Merton and Cedeno in the lineup, and back-to-back tonight. Merton hitting fifth, Ronnie batting sixth.
Last time Merton faced Jamie Moyer, he took him deep. Once again, a limited sample size, but Matt 2 for 6 lifetime against the Phillies left-hander.
Will be off the glove of Rollins. Lee will come around and score the tying run, and it's 1-1. Rollins upset with himself. Looked like he did all he could. It was right off the edge of his glove. And Matt Merton with his first hit since returning from AAA, and it's a big one, an RBI single to tie it.
Came on a changeup that was sinking down low in the zone. Merton kind of extended his swing, got enough of it to get it just past Jimmy Rollins, who deflected it out into shallow left field. D. Lee off on contact with 2 outs. He'll circle third and score easy, and heads up base running by Mark DeRosa, who came right around second base, chugged on into third.
Check on Merton. DeRosa at third. Merton at first, Cedeno at the plate. It's the first hit for Matt since June 7th. Pitch with a flare. Iguchi makes the catch. Everything happening with 2 outs, a double, a walk, and then the single to tie it. It's 1-1 after 1. 8-9-1 for the Phillies in the second. 1-1. Say cheese. Merton will come over, but it'll be out of play. Well, we're going to try something different tonight. You are going to spend an inning with Chris Wheeler on the Phillies television tonight, and Gary the Sarge Matthews is going to come over for an inning. So we'll spend some time with a former Cubs great and Cubs coach as well. You know Wheels pretty well, don't you?
Yeah, I've known Wheels for a long time. I've known Sarge for a long time, for crying out loud. Saw him the first game of the series, asked him how he was doing, and Sarge said, stressless.
He's doing a great job as a Phillies broadcaster. We're happy for him, and great to see him back at Wrigley Field. Abraham Nunez out into right center. Jones will get it. Nunez thought about second base, decided to stick with a single. Jock's done a nice job in center field last night. He lost a ball in the dusk. Ended up being a ground rule double for Tadahito Iguchi. It hit the track and bounced over the wall.
We will go through that same time period tonight when the skies above are very close to the same color as the baseball in play.
Called strike on Moyer. Jones made a couple of very nice catches last night. Came up with a big hit as well. A rare visit by Derek Lee and some pretty specific instructions for Rich Hill. Nunez with a decent lead at first. Bunted by Moyer. Throw goes to second. Risky play. Got the out. DeRosa took a chance and it paid off.
What a difference. Remember the Rich Hill play back in the first inning when he fielded a bunt, took forever to get rid of it. Mark DeRosa pounces on that ball, throws to second all in one motion. Granted, it was a risky play, but DeRosa knows his runner at first base. Able to just get Nunez at second, get that lead runner, and just as importantly, you trade places. Now you have the opposing pitcher running the bases.
Cubs have to find a way to keep Roberson off the bases. 0 for 1, but he did get on via the error and has reached base every plate appearance in this series. Average down to just 800. His batting average just went down 200 points. We're at that point in the season now as we get into August where a big swing in the batting average means 9 for 13 one way and 1 for 26 the other way. But for a guy like Roberson, this is just his second big league game of the year. It feels like April with a batting average. I just wonder how guys like Derek Lee and Tony Gwynn used to do it. Those guys are up 335, 340. I mean, you have to go 1 for 3 every night or your average is going to go down.
Or mix in some walks, you know. You have to find a way to limit the at-bats in order to keep your batting average up that high. Or in the case of Derek Lee and Tony Gwynn, get 2 hits a night.
You think he's going to appreciate that I said Derek Lee and Tony Gwynn in the same sentence?
Well, I think any ball player would appreciate being named in the same sentence with Tony Gwynn.
Well, they're both batting champs. Derek Lee won the batting title a couple of years ago. Battling for another one this year. In the air to right. Merton went back, now coming in. He has it.
And here's that situation again, Len. We've had this several times over the last 2 or 3 weeks. You have a pitcher running at first base and a pitcher who's not likely to try to steal a base in Jamie Moyer. You've got a hitter at the plate with an inside-out swing that's already proven once tonight he can hit the ball through that hole in the right side. I'd like to see Derek Lee swing around and play behind Jamie Moyer, give himself a little more range. I mean, he's not actually holding him on the base, but he's playing in front of the baseline, really limiting his range should anything be hit down that way. He'll start creeping off that bag.
Oh, 2 on Iguchi, which he'll settling down here in the second after scuffling through a first inning in which he allowed an unearned run. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Leadoff single, no runs. 1-1 to the last of the second. Working with Mike Wong and Jim McCardle from Vineline on a piece for Cubs crossover on 16-inch softball.
How difficult was it to hit that ball?
It wasn't too difficult. I mean, you have to make yourself wait. That's the toughest part.
So the Cubs coaching staff out there, oh man.
Stay with it, stay with it.
No gloves, and this is a Chicago game, and I'm sure there are a lot of people watching right now who have suffered a few broken digits playing 16-inch softball. I've got good back sweat working here.
All right, one more. Let me get one good swing here.
To play 16-inch softball on Wrigley Field, I mean, come on. What a great day that was.
How'd you get the baseball cleats on those loafers?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Gerald makes that.
Yeah.
Dressed for success. So thanks to Gerald Perry and Ivan De Jesus, Matt Sinatro, Mike Quaddy. Mike Quaddy grew up around 16-inch softball, but he said, I was a hardball player. He knows a lot of people who have played it, but hasn't done it a whole lot. How about you? You ever played it much?
Yeah, I had a chance to play some 16-inch down in Arizona. We had some transplanted Cub fans that had moved down to the Valley of the Sun, and they were big into that 16-inch softball here in Chicago and kind of brought it with them down there. They were trying to organize a league. I played in a few of those games. It was a lot of fun.
So check out the September issue of Vineline Cubs crossover as the Cubs coaching staff talks about 16-inch softball. Jock Jones trying to beat it out, and he cannot. Good play by Rollins. Interesting line Jock took out of the box.
It wasn't exactly the most direct route to first base, but he kind of got fooled by that pitch. Watch him extend his swing, and he ends up out in the middle of the infield. He is probably a good 10 or 12 feet inside the baseline when he got away from the home plate area. Still made it very close at first.
There's a strike on Jason Kendall.
You know, the thing about that 16-inch, it's hard to believe that anybody would ever boot a ball. I mean, it's big and it's just soft and rolling at you right there. I mean, how could you miss that? Oh,
terrible.
Man.
Terrible. I knew they would find that one.
Yeah, they found it.
Well, a couple of screamers hit my way. You know what, though? I got my body in front of it for the most part. Foul past third. Well, we had the shot of Matt Sinatra maybe tweaking his back a little bit. He was kidding a little bit, but Gerald Perry did say that he has no problem with you moving your feet, especially if you've played baseball a lot. He said that the key is to wait. And if you're flat-footed, sometimes you don't get a good swing at it. He said, do what Carlos did the other day, move up in the box. To Kendall, just outside.
Well, 16-inch softball is one of those rare sports for some individuals where they actually play better the more hydrated they are, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Now, one of the coaches who will remain nameless, he said, too bad we're not doing this after the game, because maybe we could put a beverage or two on the line, so to speak. Right center and deep for Kendall, and nobody's going to catch it. Rowland will pick it up. Kendall's going to stop at second base. So Kendall has reached base in his last 6 games.
Jason Kendall, even with his outs recently, starting to make consistent contact with the barrel of the bat, driving this one into the gap in right center. That's not easy to split those two guys. Aaron Rowland and Chris Roberson really cover a lot of ground out there in the outfield, but Kendall's able to split the gap. Briefly had thoughts about going for third, but decides to drop anchor there at second base. Well, that's good to see, and I'm sure it's good to feel for Jason Kendall. First few ABs or first few games he had here in Chicago, he was having trouble getting the barrel on it.
Rich Hill rolls it up the middle, base hit. Kendall coming around. And Hill helping his own cause with his 3rd RBI. 2-1. Well, the Cubs pitchers continue to get it done. That is great to see.
We used to joke about it when a pitcher doesn't get much offensive support. It's his own fault. He's got to swing the bat better, and Rich Hill took it to heart. RBI single back up the middle of the field. Cubs take a lead. Good read by Jason Kendall at second base. He'll score easily without a play.
Four hits here in the first 2 innings. 2 doubles, 2 singles. Soriano hooks that one to left. 3 straight hits. So Moyer in trouble. He's already allowed a run. Today's Celebrity Bat Kids are brought to you by Walgreens, the official pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs. 9-year-old J.D. Fallon of Western Springs, Illinois, and 9-year-old Shannon Lone of Elmhurst. Tonight's Walgreens Celebrity Bat Kids. If you want to be a celebrity bat kid, brought to you by Walgreens, and have the opportunity to meet your favorite Cub players, get autographs, and sit in the Cubs dugout, visit WGNradio.com for more information. The 0-1 to Fontenot. That's a double play ball. It'll go 4-6-3 to get Moyer out of the second inning. But Rich Hill's RBI giving the Cubs a 2-1 advantage.
Aflac, ask about it at work. And by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world.
Well, the Cubs host the Phillies coming up tomorrow at 1:20. Kids get to the ballpark early. The first 6,000 children 13 and younger will receive an exclusive Chicago Cubs plush bear from Build-A-Bear Workshop, compliments of Pepsi. Well, the Cubs have struggled against left-handed starters, but right now with a 2-1 lead over Jamie Moyer. Jimmy Rollins working on an 11-game hit streak. Hit by a pitch his first time up. Leads off the third for the Phillies. A lot of offense tonight in Milwaukee. 4-4 Mets and the Brewers in the bottom of the second. Awkward swing by Rollins, and he went around. Prince Fielder with a 3-run homer in the first off Oliver Perez. Ramon Castro with a 3-run blast off Claudio Vargas in the second. So Paul LaDuca is still out. Tweaked his hamstring the other night, and LaDuca unable to catch Tom Glavine last night as Glavine was seeking win number 300. He didn't get it. He received a no decision, and he'll go for 300 Sunday night here at Wrigley Field. Busted bat floater. Cedeno's out, makes a catch.
Good guy to keep off base right there for the Phillies. 19 stolen bases on the season in 24 attempts. Cedeno just runs back into shallow left field, tracking that ball the whole way. Made it an easy play.
And now he goes over to play second base as the shortstop against Ryan Howard. ...2006 National League Most Valuable Player, led the major leagues with 58 home runs, knocked in 149 last year. It was the most home runs ever by a second-year player.
He was incredible. We talked about that shift with the shortstop on the second base side. It's worked well in this series already. Twice Howard has hit a ground ball right to the shortstop, playing up the middle of the field. And his base hit was a soft line drive that barely got over the head of the shortstop into shallow center.
Boy, DeRosa's feeling great tonight. He's hitting cleanup and he's playing short. Every infielder wants to play short, and it's a position Mark DeRosa has played before.
Is there a position on the field he hasn't played before? At some point in his career, I would assume he's been all over the diamond.
2-2 from Hill, and now it's full. In fact, DeRosa came up as a shortstop in the Braves system, but officially playing third here tonight. Good battle. Another 3-2 is on the way. Swing and a miss. So Howard has been fanned twice by Rich Hill.
First time on a good slider down low and away. This time a 91-mile-an-hour heater on the outside corner. Howard looks back like he can't believe he swung through that ball. You'd have a hard time convincing Ryan Howard that Wrigley Field is a hitter's paradise. In 9 career games here at Wrigley, struck out 16 times.
Hill looking for his first 1-2-3 inning. One sends it skyward, and it's Matt Merton calling. Makes a catch. That's the inning. 2-1 Cubs. Cubs last of the third. Derek Lee with a double and a run his first time up. After Derek, it'll be Mark DeRosa and Matt Merton. Pushed him off the plate. And a fastball at 80.
Sounds funny, doesn't it?
Well, last night was 70s night. Maybe tonight is 80s night.
Well, then we've talked throughout the early part of this telecast how long Jamie Moyer's been around. That at bat by Derek Lee back in the first inning was the first time he's ever faced Jamie Moyer.
Derek was on the DL last year when Moyer faced his former team.
And Jamie spent the majority of his career over in the American League. Long time in Seattle.
He beat the Cubs a couple of times last year. 2-0 in his career in 3 games versus the Cubs. Well, Derek Lee will try for another double. Give him 30 on the year.
Well, right now Derek Lee just feels Jamie Moyer has nothing to get him out with. He's seeing the ball as big as a beach ball, squaring it up every at bat. That was a bullet down into that left field corner.
You think Derek Lee sees that ball like it's a 16-inch softball right now?
It sounds a lot better than a 16-inch softball coming off his bat, I'll tell you that. And with his 30th double, he's now tied with teammate Alfonso Soriano for the team lead.
The 44-year-old Moyer is seeking his 10th win. If he gets it, that would be 13 seasons of double-digit victories. He's won his last 2 starts after losing his previous 3. At a high earned run average in July, 6.75. He went 2 and 3. born in Sellersville, Pennsylvania, and pitched collegiately at St. Joseph's. So he's with his hometown team, acquired from Seattle in August of last year.
In 9 seasons, he's thrown over 200 innings, and the amazing thing for me is he's only had 1 season in his career where he struck out more than 150 batters. Just not his game. He'll get his share of strikeouts, a lot of them called strikeouts. But just another example, you don't have to be overpowering, you don't have to be a strikeout pitcher in order to be effective and be a good major league pitcher.
We saw his father-in-law, Digger Phelps, earlier. He has a bright green shirt on, so we're trying to find him in the stands. Shouldn't be that difficult. We're looking for the fluorescent highlighter. You see it. It's probably belongs to Digger Phelps.
Neon green.
1-2 on DeRosa. Lee after the leadoff doubles at second base. Swing and a miss. Boy, DeRosa almost came out of his shoes.
Well, that's a pitch that will make right-handed hitters come out of their shoe when they see that breaking ball up in the zone from a left-handed pitcher. It's hard not to swing hard at that pitch. You see it's so big. It's an off-speed pitch, and that time DeRosa, maybe just a little bit too much of a swing right there. Got a little bit long, got underneath that pitch.
Now Merton against Moyer. Brewers lead again, 5-4. They play the top of the third now in Milwaukee. Looks like it's going to be a wild night at Miller Park. Brewers have 5 runs on just 3 hits tonight. 2 Mets errors. A couple of unearned runs. Moyer has a sign from Ruiz, his catcher. Noguchi kind of sneaking in behind Derek Lee. Now the pitch. Swing and a miss. Now that's the shirt we're talking about, as Digger Phelps before the game chatting with Lou Piniella.
And they took turns listening. That was good. The first pitch to Merton, Derek Lee looked like he was trying to time Jamie Moyer and perhaps make a steal attempt at third base, but Noguchi started to edge in there, decoying Derek back to the bag. A little bit tougher to get a jump now.
Well, you really do have to adjust your sights, kind of recalibrate the radar gun when you watch Jamie Moyer pitch, because you see a pitch and you look at the speed, it says 82. That's driven foul. When I see 82, a lot of times I think slider or changeup.
Or changeup, depending on how hard the guy throws his fastball.
But that's the fastball. So when you see something with a 7 in front of it, that's going to be the breaking ball or the changeup.
Or a 6 in front of it.
Right. I mean, with Rich Hill, 82 meant his slider for the breaking ball.
Jamie Moyer, one of the more upstanding citizens in the game of Major League Baseball, has been honored repeatedly throughout his illustrious Major League career. He's won the Roberto Clemente Award, the Hutch Award, the Branch Rickey Award, the Lou Gehrig Award, all based on character and integrity and community service. Yeah, this guy, he understands his job as a role model and relishes it.
was a point in the early 90s. He was advised to retire and become a minor league coach after he was released by the Cubs. He kept on battling, signed with Detroit, pitched in the minors, and then returned to the big leagues with the Orioles in 1993. And a great line for any pitcher on location. Quote, you can throw any pitch to any hitter as long as you can locate it. You can throw high to a high ball hitter, low to a low ball hitter. You just have to locate those pitches well. The thing I love about that line, it's not the obvious you could throw low to a high ball hitter. He's saying you can throw high to a high ball hitter, but if you put it where you want it, you can get him out.
Yeah, that pitch that's a little bit higher than a high ball hitter can handle, or a little bit lower than a low ball hitter can handle.
What's going on here?
I think Moyer's trying to work as quickly as home plate umpire Paul Emmel will allow him. Matt Merton had barely stepped into the batter's box, and Moyer was already into his set position out there on the rubber.
Ninth pitch of the at bat, and we're going to go 10 here. 3-2. So Moyer has run a full count for the 4th time. A pitch to Merton. Fly ball to center. Rowan gliding over and getting in that set position to keep Derek Lee at second base. Boy, what a throw. How about how Aaron Rowan went around where the ball was going to land to get in a perfect throwing position? You can't do it any better than that.
You can talk about a guy's throwing arm or his range or anything you want, but it's just the field awareness, knowing where you have to be. It looked like that ball almost popped out of his glove as he was getting into position, but Aaron Rowan, recognizing Derek Lee's speed at second base and the depth of that fly ball into right center field, knew he had to be in a good position or Derek Lee was likely to advance.
Well, how many times, Bob, do you see an outfielder in that spot get flat-footed, on his heels, drifting back? He had time to essentially circle around behind where it was going to land, and his momentum was headed toward the infield. I always go back to the Bill Russell comment about a block shot. He said that was a half a play. The key is to not only block it, but then get the basketball. Sometimes you feel like a fly ball where a guy is able to advance a base. It's a half a play if you make the catch. It's a full play if you do what Aaron Rowan just did. That's the complete play.
Yep.
One and one on Cedeno. Bet you were a big shot blocker in high school, right?
I was a big shot blockee.
Two and one to count. The next pitch called strike. 2-2. Are you a big hoopster?
Oh, I love hoops. Loved hoops. Growing up in East Central Ohio, kind of like a religion over there. Had a tremendous high school basketball coach that taught me so much, not only about basketball, but how to compete, how to prepare to compete.
Cedeno drives it into center. Lee's going to come around, and he will score. Cedeno to second. He's in. Ronnie excited. So the RBI hits tonight: Merton, Rich Hill, and Ronnie Cedeno.
Down and through by Ronnie Cedeno. Got good carry on that line drive out to Aaron Rowan in center field. This is probably an ill-advised throw to home by Aaron Rowan. Derek Lee with 2 outs in the inning once again gets a great jump off of second base. It's already around third before Rowan unloads that ball over everybody, allowing Cedeno to hustle into second base on his belly.
So Ronnie gets a single, moves to second on the throw to the plate. And it brings up Jock Jones, and the Cubs' 3 doubles, they've all come around to score. Lee twice, Kendall did it in the second. Low ball 1 on Jock. Another 3-run homer in Milwaukee. Marlon Anderson. This time it's 7-5 Mets in the third. There's 3 3-run shots. So I'm thinking roof open, panels open.
Yeah.
This could be interesting here. Nunez out. He won't get it. Fair ball. Jones will slide in safely. Knocks in Cedeno. 4-1. And the hits keep coming.
Pitch was down low and away below the knees. Somehow Jock manages to get underneath that ball, pop it down to third baseline. Nunez with a blind stab out there. Just reaches his glove out as he's running, trying to get into the position to make the play. Can't get there. Well, you gotta love it.
And Kendall will be intentionally passed with Hill on deck. It's 4-1. There's ball 4.
We talk all the time about communication, and look which umpire makes the call at second base on the Jock Jones double. It's first base umpire Dan Iasonia, who hustled over from his position in foul territory behind first base, right on top of the play to make the call at second base. These umpires are in constant communication, depending on the situation, where the base runners are, letting each other know where they're going to go, depending on where the ball is hit. That time Iasonia in perfect position.
So Dan Ias saw it.
Yes, he did.
Outside, 1-1 on Rich Hill.
And we will have this crew for the entire 4-game series. A lot of times after the first 3 games of this series, you'll see a crew flip out and a new crew come in. But I saw Dan and Paul Emmel and Ron Culpo on the way out of the ballpark last night, and they said they'll be here for all 4, and then they go on the road for another 4-game series.
Well, we wouldn't want an umpiring crew to flip out.
No.
Did you have a nice conversation?
It was brief and polite.
The 1-2 to Hill is outside. Any one of the 4 ever throw you out of a game that you can remember?
See. Not this group, no. I'm sure the desire to eject me from a game was there, but it never happened.
Hill strikes out, but a productive inning as the Cubs add 2. On 3 hits, it's 4-1 to the 4th. prior to 2007, who was the last Cub to reach base safely in each game in a calendar month? Minimum of 24 games. Oh, Ryan Theriot just did it in the month of July. That's a good question. I don't know the answer. If it's recent, Derek Lee did it in April, so prior to this year. All right, so Derek Lee, Ryan Theriot have done it this year. Because I was going to say Derek Lee maybe in 2005 possibly did it.
That's a good one.
Matt Burrell leading off the fourth for the Phillies, and boy, things have sure changed for Rich Hill and the Cubs. You go back to the top of the first, he was having all kinds of trouble getting it out. Committed a throwing error, gave up a single, hit a batter, bases loaded, no outs with Howard, Rowan, and Burrow coming up, and he only gave up one. That's deep. Jock Jones is back. He is at the warning track, and it actually drops between Jones and Soriano. And I wonder if Jock knew where that ball was. 17th double for Burrow.
Well, it was in the fifth inning of the ball game last night. I don't think Jock ever had a good beat on that ball. He was going back to where he thought it was, but I don't think he ever saw it. He is off by a wide margin here. He was probably a good 10 or 12 steps away from where that ball came down as he was looking up into the dust once again. It's about the same time of evening. Last night was the fifth inning, but the game was moving a little quicker. A little more offense tonight, so probably about the same time of night.
Here's Ruiz. Two and 0 now. Rich Hill needs to get it together. This is one of those innings where you don't want things to get away. The way Jock went back on that ball, I thought it was out. It's a strike, 2-1. Whereas the one last night, he had no idea right off the bat where it was, didn't move, and that's a helpless feeling, as you said. Two-one pitch, 2-2.
Well, Jock had some problems with the Tadahito Iguchi fly ball last night in the fifth inning. High drive to straightaway center. Never saw it. The ball bounced over the fence for a book rule double, but then atoned for it an inning later with a double down the left field line. Credited with one RBI, and when Pat Burrell bobbled the ball in left field, Mark DeRosa came home to score.
Soriano will set and make the catch in left. The ball was stung by Ruiz, but right at the Cubs left fielder. One out. Abraham Nunez, the number 8 hitter, will bat with Moyer now on deck. Not a bad seat right next to the Cubs dugout.
Nunez getting the start at third base tonight for Charlie Manuel. Not that he has better numbers against Rich Hill than Wes Helms, who usually plays third base, but I think with Jamie Moyer on the mound, Charlie Manuel wants to get his best defensive team on the field, if at all possible. And Helms and Nunez both are hitless against Rich Hill in their career, so play your best defender, and that happens to be Nunez.
Bouncer up the middle. Fontenot with the throw to Lee, and it's a little late. Burrell stopping at third. Good play by Mike. He had a shot, but his momentum was taking him away from first base. He did all he could.
Well, the best part of this play is Fontenot keeps the ball from going into the outfield. If that ball gets by him, Burrell's going to score easily. Fontenot tries to turn it into an amazing play, and Derek Lee has to barehand that ball to keep it from getting by to the dugout. You appreciate the effort, but probably not a good time to try to make that long off-balance throw back across your body with a runner rounding third base. Nice play by Derek Lee to keep it in.
A good catch on that barehanded stop by Lee. DeRosa in on the grass. Moyer's going to try to move Nunez up. And then Burrow, what? He reads the play at third base?
Yeah, he really is not under any urgency to try to score on a bunt. But if it's a perfect bunt and gets away from the Cubs defensively, he might try to come down that line at third.
DeRosa fields. Quick look back. Fontenot covering. Pledge your allegiance to the Cubs by becoming a founding member of the Cubs Club, the new official online fan club for the Chicago Cubs. Cubs Club members will receive benefits unavailable to other fans, including your very own 2007 membership card, MLB.com's game day audio for the 2007 regular season, and much more. To join today, visit Cubs.com, where baseball is always on.
Well, and you know I'm a big fan of some guys who are aware on the field of what's going on. Mark DeRosa knows Pat Burrell is on third base behind him, so before he throws to first, he takes a quick peek just to make sure Burrell wasn't trying to sneak in behind him. I love that stuff. Field awareness.
Big swing by Roberson. 2 strikes. Burrell at third, Nunez at second. The pitch to short on the ground. Cedeno to Lee, and Hill gets out of it again. 6 stranded by the Phillies in the first 4. It's still 4-1 Cubs. Trivia question. Prior to this year, who was the last Cub to reach base safely in each game in a calendar month?
I'm not sure. I would have a guess of Jerome Walton. No, Rhino.
July of 1992, so 15 years ago. And 2 guys have done it this year, Derek Lee in April and Ryan Theriot in July.
Most of the trivia questions, if you guess Rhino, you can't be far off.
That's true.
He'll be on the list somewhere, if not at the top.
Ball 1 on Soriano, who's 1 for 2 tonight. 8 for 41 in his career coming in. against Moyer with 4 home runs and 9 strikeouts. Kind of been all or nothing for Fonzie against Moyer. Called strike to make it 1-1. Well, the other thing about Moyer and playing catch on flat ground before the ball game, he has such a smooth delivery. Always looks the same. Great mechanics, and that I'm sure comes from a lot of practice.
Repeat your mechanics. You hear pitching coaches tell pitchers that all the time. Try to find a delivery that will allow you to repeat your delivery over and over and over again, and try to find some kind of consistency with that delivery so you can make the pitches you have to make, especially for a guy like Jamie Moyer, who doesn't have the luxury of making mistakes in the middle of the plate.
Well, going back to his quote about location, the best way to do that is what Jason Marquis talked about earlier in the year. Repeat those mechanics. That gives you a great chance to put the ball where you want to. Fly into center. And coming in will be Aaron Rowan to make the catch. Well, separated at birth. The executive producer of Cubs baseball here on Comcast Sportsnet on the right, Jim Corno Jr., Ted Lilly on the left. What do you think?
Real close.
I think it's all in the haircut.
Well, Jim's sideburns a little bit longer, but other than that, that's pretty close. Ted's got a better curveball. I know that.
Jim's a better soccer player from what we understand. And he's not breaking bones.
And Mike Vaughn, no hitless in the ball game, but he's hit the ball hard twice, lined out to right field his first at bat of the ball game, and then a sharp one hopper right at Iguchi at second base to start a double play. Lennon, we were talking about it before the ball game. I like the idea that Lou has a couple of left-handed hitters in the lineup tonight. I think sometimes, especially against a crafty veteran like Jamie Moyer, if you load up a lineup with righties, he'll get that outside corner at the knees wired in, and you don't ever force him to make any kind of an adjustment. Send a couple of left-handed hitters up there spaced out in your lineup, and he's forced to work to the other side of the plate and perhaps use his breaking ball a little bit more, which is his third best pitch.
Two and two. Some tough lefties on this homestand. Cole Hamels the other night against the Cubs. Jamie Moyer tonight. We mentioned Tom Glavine coming up Sunday night. Cubs have some good lefties of their own. Lilly, Hill, Marshall. Sean Marshall tomorrow. Kyle Loesch will make his Phillies debut. Pitched a gem for the Reds in this ballpark in mid-April. He was almost untouchable that day. '29th round pick in 1996. Acquired on Monday. Called strike 3 for the second out.
Fontenot perhaps overthinking this at bat just a little bit. That's a fastball right down Halstead. When you see a hitter take a fastball like that on a 2-strike count, it's a pretty good indication that he was guessing something else and just not ready to pull the trigger.
Lee came in at 324 and out to 328. 1-1. Again, Bob's going to head over to the Phillies broadcast booth for the 5th inning, and the Sarge will join me coming up.
good like Philly cheesesteak stories to tell on the Phillies broadcast?
Well, I'm hoping they'll have some cheesesteaks over there. You know, they imported some.
Now we know your motivation.
You know me, if there's a payoff of food somewhere at the end of the rainbow, I'll go for it.
See, Ruiz wants it up a little bit. Just missed. 3-2. John McDonough, Cubs president. Mike Lafrano, Crane Kenny also enjoying the ball game tonight. Long look by Moyer. Swing and a miss. All right, Bob, we will see you in the 6th. The Cubs will be up 9-1. Right now it's 4-1 after 4.
Ball is brought to you in part by Midas. Visit Midas for brakes, expert auto maintenance, and tires. And by the all-new full-size 2007 Toyota Tundra.
Welcome back to Wrigley Field, and always great to see the Sarge. Gary Matthews.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing, Sarge?
Good to be back home. Really, good to be back home. I'm doing just great.
Yeah, we're hearing great things about your work with the Phillies and one of your former teams, of course, and back here at Wrigley Field, and this series is big for both clubs.
Well, it sure is, especially for the Phillies. They've had so many injuries, and I know you don't want to make that part or any excuse, but they have had that, quite a bit of it.
Jock Jones comes in, the ball gets past him on the dive, and Iguchi will end up at second base with his second hit tonight. 5 hits for Tadahito Iguchi in this series.
Well, Jock's usually a pretty good fielder, usually catches those balls. It seemed like he got the best jump, always gives you an effort. And check this out as he goes into his dive. Usually you want that glove turned the other way. He had it where he was just trying to actually knock it down.
Seems like he had trouble on that Burrow blast to lead off the 4th inning. We're not sure if he had a good look at it, and in the one last night Iguchi hit, he lost completely when the ball went off the bat. Did you have problems at all at dusk time here?
Well, you know what? I actually talked with Jock about that, and sure enough, he did not see it. But at different times of the twilight, right before it gets really dark, when the ball is hit, then you just can't see it. I mean, I went in and told Jock Jones that when he does that and he's running over there, make sure he keeps his mouth shut so that that ball doesn't break his teeth if it hits him right there in the face. But he didn't see it at all.
1-1 the count. Although your last year was actually the year before they had lights here.
Exactly. I didn't get a chance to play in the lights. But great ballpark, obviously, to play in. From the fan standpoint, we're so close to the fans in the left field. Bleacher bombs, I mean, how can you not like them?
So stress-free, would that be a good way to put, I think Bob said earlier?
It's
a little
cute,
different
yeah.
up here, isn't it?
Well, you know what? It is stress-free. And I mean, when you're doing the games, you do pull for the home team, obviously. Impartial as well, but deep down you would like to see them win. But you don't go home with it. You don't go home with being able to stressing out or thinking about it the whole night, or did I do enough, and so on. So this is a lot better. Let me tell you.
3-1 on Rollins. Iguchi, the runner at second. 4-1 Cubs leading. And that flare will get down and left. Iguchi will be sent and will score without a throw. So now it's 4-2. So Rollins picking up his 66th RBI. And reading about Jimmy Rollins, I mean, you have a few guys on your team who could be MVP candidates. Utley would have been before he got hurt. Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard.
Chase Utley, the best hitter on the team. And J-Ro, as you see right now, he is just, for a small guy, I'm telling you what, he carries a huge punch. 13, 14 doubles, 20 home runs, and this guy scores them. He steals bases. He's good defensively. He's one of the throwback players. I like to say J-Ro could play in any era.
Big time stolen base threat. Ryan Howard gets a hold of one. That's deep right center. Jones giving chase. Won't get to it. Rollins to third. Steve Smith's going to send him around. And all of a sudden it's a one-run game. And now Howard trying for third. And he is out. Derek Lee gets him on the throw to DeRosa. So Howard trying to get that extra base. So they do get the first out. But he does knock in Rollins.
Well, you got to give credit to Derek Lee on that play. Thought actually Cedeno could have actually cut it off, but they are taught to, if you're going to get that short hop, got to get out of the way and let the next guy get the ball. In this case, it was Fontenot. You can see now that he did. Good throw by D. Lee getting Howard. Howard just a little bit of hesitation there, not able to get him.
So a double and RBI, and it goes 8-3-5 to get Howard at third base. What's been the biggest challenge as a broadcaster? What's the toughest thing?
Well, I tell you, the toughest thing, I do the interviews or the pregame shows, and the toughest things is to have a guy say, hey, wait there, then you need your stuff, and they never come back. So that's been one of the, but for the most part, and being down on the field the last 4 years, it's been pretty easy where I can get the interviews with just about anyone that I want to get. I haven't had any problems that way. Learning Harry Callis' style along with Chris Wheeler, I think that's more of a pleasure than anything else being with those guys. So it's been a great transition. Obviously, you're in a learning process. I would think game by game, year by year, there's things that you can learn. But I enjoy it, love the game, and it's good to be up here. I've actually caught one foul ball, too, by the way, coming in the booth. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where was it? Was it at home? No, it wasn't at home, was it?
No.
Rowan smacks that. That's deep. And that ties it. Aaron Rowan with another big home run in this series. All of a sudden, the Phillies have tied it up. 3 runs. They're the 5th.
I got to tell you, this team, and you can see how they're hitting now. Now imagine having Victorino in there and along with Chase Utley. It gives them a pretty potent lineup. And they feel they can really hit just about any pitcher, and especially left-handers. And these guys play pretty good. Whether or not they're going to win it, I don't know. Pitching is a little bit thin, and Pat Gillick doing everything he possibly can to bring in some talent. But as you know, then he's just not that much pitching that's out there. Well, check this pitch out. Actually, not a bad pitch by Hill. Ball down. Rowan, as you know, likes to hit here in this ballpark and against the Cubs, and he's had just a super year, already making the All-Star team. been solid all year, defensively, offensively.
That's his 16th home run. It ties the game. 4 hits in the inning. All I'll say about hurry up and wait. Welcome to our world. And you know what? We understand because when you were coaching, I mean, there are just certain things you have to do.
Yep.
And I know you're always accessible to do interviews, but if you need somebody who needs to hit in the cage or you need to hit fly balls to somebody, we have to wait, and that's understandable.
Yeah, well, that is true. Actually, I didn't kind of look at it that way, but that is true. And for the most part, though, I haven't had any problems at all.
Pat Burrell takes a called third, visiting with the Sarge, Gary Matthews. Here in the 5th inning tonight, now a 4-4 tie.
Rich Hill still has one of the better breaking balls in the league, 12-6. When he's tight, that pitch is just impossible to hit. I mean, that's why you don't look for it. You got to stay on his fastball and adjust. No one's going to hit that pitch.
Carlos Ruiz, a catcher, taking ball 1. Well, now that you are a broadcaster and you see things on the field, does the game look easier up here? You often hear that.
No doubt. Are you kidding me?
Everything's slower up here, right?
Oh, much easier up here. And just in terms of being able to re-look at the play, take a second look at the different plays and seeing how they develop even before it's getting ready to happen. It's intriguing being able to see it from this side.
We sit up top here, and I see a lot of green grass, and there are 3 little guys in the outfield. And you say to yourself, it isn't that hard, is it? But it's very hard.
Oh, and especially with the wind blowing in the inning that you were talking about with Jock Jones, the ball in left center, the wind had actually changed. It started blowing out to left.
We started tonight out of the east at 5, so officially blowing in. Number 2-2, almost hit him. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Oh, Rich Hill not pitching bad, just having a little bit of bad luck.
Gave up an unearned run in the 1st inning. That's outside, ball 4. We're going to hear from Kerry Wood a little bit later, Sarge, but he's going to be back on Friday. The Cubs will activate him. And you had a chance to watch Kerry pitch as a short reliever in 2005. Your thoughts on him joining the Cubs bullpen?
I mean, one of my favorite people, definitely of all time in the Cubs organization, for sure. I just admire him for putting in the work to be able to get back to this point. And anything else he does is gravy. But this guy here, I mean, he could be, if he's healthy, he'd be one of the best pitchers of all time. There's no doubt in my mind, because Kerry pitches with heart, and that's the one thing that you can't give a player. You can't give him a heart and desire. Kerry Wood has that. He's lost some weight. He looks great.
Boy, he does. Yeah, he's in wonderful shape. Yep. So he'll pitch in middle relief when he comes back on Friday. He's with the club now. He'll come off the disabled list Friday.
He's always had one of the best fastballs in the league. Well, his thing will be control, like it usually is. If he has his control, Kerry Wood is one of the guys that's almost impossible to hit. I mean, he's proved that over time as well. So I look for him to do well. If he's healthy, I look for him to get right in here and make an impact.
And he's healthy and really pitched well in his minor league rehab outings. And you hope he stays healthy. And Rich Hill really struggling now here in the 5th inning. 3-1. Scott Air up in the bullpen. You have the pitcher Moyer on deck. Nunez 2 for 2 on the night. The Phillies have tied it with 3 runs. A game tying home run coming from Aaron Rowan, who hit a game winner 2 nights ago. There's another walk. Let's check out Kerry Wood last night with Double-A Tennessee. And that's always the big one, Sarge, when you're able to go beyond 1 inning. He's also done the back-to-back outings.
24 pitches. Well, that always helps. He's got to build his arm strength up, as you know, but he's going to have a hard. He's been injured so many times, so he's going to know his body and know exactly where to go, how far he can push it. So, and I'm sure he's looking forward to coming back and helping. He's always been a team player.
Ball one on Moyer. Crowd getting a little restless here. Cubs had a 4-1 lead. It's now 4-4.
Rich hasn't had the pinpoint control that I normally have seen him have, and I know that he's been up and down with his games this year, talking to Ron Santo. Well, he's the type of kid, once he gets it together, you're talking 15, 20 games yearly. Got to come up with maybe a little changeup. Right now, for me, 2-pitch pitcher, curveball, fastball, as Lou has seen enough.
That's going to be it for Rich Hill. He's going to go with Scott Air to get out of this 5th inning. So here comes another left-hander with 2 outs. The pitcher at the plate. We'll be back. Kerry Wood before the ball game.
All right, thanks very much. Here with Kerry Wood, and considering what you've been through, you have to just be thrilled to be back on the field.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm sure it's going to be nerve-wracking the day I get, the first time they get me up, and I'm just really looking forward to getting the first one out of the way and really try to control the adrenaline. I think that's going to be my biggest concern, is to try to calm down when I get out there, because I know it's going to be crazy and I'm going to be super fired up, and so I just need to try to keep that under control and go strike one.
That's Kerry Wood, and again, he's scheduled to return from the DL on Friday as the Cubs open a series against the Mets. Len Casper along with Gary Matthews in the booth. Scott Air will make his 32nd appearance. 1 ball, 1 strike on Jamie Moyer. Lou Piniella waited after Hill threw ball 1 to the pitcher, and he takes him out. Here's a pitch, swing and a miss. 1-2.
Well, Lou's always had the reputation that can be a little tough on pitchers, but if you throw strikes, there's no problem. And the pitcher should. That's the way you got to get the hitters out. You got to get early strikes and then be able to have them chase. But if you get behind, that's when you're going to run into problems, and that's happened to Moyer as well.
Jock Jones in left center will put it away. But a damaging inning as the Phillies tie it. It's now 4-4 as we go to the bottom of the 5th. It's been a seesaw battle and 4-4 as we go to the bottom of the 5th, and Gary Matthews with us. Now, how many games are you broadcasting of the 162 this year?
I do all of the games unless Fox is showing the games or ESPN.
So just like us, so about 150 plus.
Yeah, exactly. And then it works out good, though. I mean, I really like that. I know those 805 games, and usually they pick them up or not pick them up, but it's refreshing to get a day off every now and then.
And when you do, I'm sure the first thing you do is you keep track of what the Angels are doing in junior, right?
Oh,
you do that every day anyway.
Just about.
That will get down for DeRosa over Nunez. He's going to make the turn and head for 2 and get there standing. So the Sarge joins us, and all of a sudden these two offenses really getting it going here in the 5th inning. A leadoff double by Mark DeRosa.
Yeah, Jamie continues to throw that fastball. Doesn't have enough to get it inside to these hitters. You can see Nunez getting up to no avail. There he is again. Just off the tip of the glove, maybe. Goes down into the corner, and once it does that, it's about an automatic double.
Now Matt Merton with an RBI single in the 1st inning. He flied to center in his 3rd at bat. I know you worked a lot with Matt. Give me the 1 or 2 things he absolutely needs to do to kind of get to that next level. Now back in the big leagues.
It's very, very simple. He's got to really stay up the middle. You know, stay on the fastball. A lot of times younger hitters will do a lot of guessing. They have a problem in not swinging at a lot of strikes. And confidence. He has to get his confidence back up, and it's a little more pressure for him this year than it was last year. And so be it. It's always that way because the pitchers end up going to school on you. So it's a learning process just yearly. I like him, though. I mean, for sure, and I think he has a chance to be a decent ball player.
Called strike on the inside corner. The thing that I've always liked about Matt, I know you and I talked about a lot of the Cubs hitters going back the last couple of years, is he does have a good idea of the strike zone. And that's not something that's easily taught, correct? You either kind of have it or you don't.
I agree with you with that, and almost to a fault sometimes.
Now there it is, called strike 3. So what you're saying is maybe there are times where,
like there, I mean, too close to take. That's a good example where his eye's too good, and yeah, it might have been off the plate just a little bit, but you can expand that to be able to hit it. It's a borderline pitch. Pitcher wants it, hitter doesn't.
So it'll bring up Ronnie Cedeno. Well, back to Gary Matthews Jr., Little Sarge, and I know you were a very proud father when he signed that big contract and coming off a terrific year with the Texas Rangers. And actually, we were together at Disney in early December right after he signed, and I know you were really thrilled.
Really happy about the way that he goes about his business to play, thinks about winning first. He's had some problems in hitting part of the season, but he's picked it up. So, you know, he started off hitting 300, dropped down to 280, was in an 0 for 19 slump, but he continues to play good defense. Anytime you have Vladimir Guerrero on the team, you got a chance to win. And they have a pretty good pitching staff too, Lynn. You've seen them there in spring training, so they do have a good chance.
They were the best team that we saw in spring training, and I know it's only March, but you're right, they can pitch. 1-2 on Cedeno. Runner at second, DeRosa. The Cubs trying to retake the lead after the Phillies tied it with 3 in the top of this inning. Rich Hill is out. Scott Air came on to get Jamie Moyer to end the threat after the Phillies had already tied it up. Swing and a miss. That's strike 3. 2 outs in the inning. All right, a couple of your good friends managing. Jody Davis moved up the chain now in Daytona, and Rhino with Peoria. Have you talked to Rhino at all during the season?
Of course.
How's he doing?
Well, he's doing okay. He's been kicked out of 4 games, though. I didn't even know he could talk that much to be able to get kicked out of that many games. But he's, you know, Rhino has a lot of pride, and he's doing it the right way. He's going all the way down to the minor leagues. You're talking about a Hall of Famer, and I'm sure those kids are just in awe. But he cares. Obviously, being kicked out of the game, you're going to see him in the major leagues before long, man. I can tell you that.
Well, he has the Peoria Chiefs in first place by a half game in the Western Division of the Midwest League here in the second half, 23-14.
And Jody has a year experience on him, and over in Daytona, I believe he's managing.
And right now, Tony at fourth in the East. That ball hit well, but it will be caught by Aaron Rowan. Sarge, always a pleasure.
My
You're
pleasure.
The best.
Thanks a lot.
Best of luck this year, and always great to see you back here at Wrigley Field.
Thank you. You guys in the playoffs, I'll be here for
All
sure.
right, sounds good.
All right, Len.
It's Gary Matthews. We'll be back. And what a great career he had, and his numbers as a Philly and as a Chicago Cub. And great to have Bob Brenly back in the booth. Well, the Phillies really opened it up in the fifth inning, tying it up, and now Scott Air is on. He got Moyer. Kind of interesting, Bob. Lou came out after a 1-ball, no-strike count on the pitcher, which you don't often see, but after back-to-back walks, and he took the ball from Rich Hill and gave it to Scott Air.
Boy, and the look Lou had on his face when he came out of that dugout, I suggested on the other side that maybe Rich Hill should just flip the ball to Lou on his way past. I don't think he wants to stand there and hear what Lou had to say. Not very happy.
Foul. Jeff Geary down there protecting the bullpen. Looked like he was going after that ball. Was going to maybe make a catch and let it go. Two strikes on Roberson. Air from the stretch with nobody on base. Swing and a miss. Strike three. Watch this.
That ball wasn't that far foul. Looked like he wanted to go out there and make a diving catch.
He's a good teammate, right? Wouldn't have been a good teammate if he had caught it, though. Well, I don't even know what the call would have been.
The key is to protect the catcher. Mick Billmeyer sitting down there with his back to home plate. He has no idea what's going on behind him. He relies on that Shagger to stand right behind him and make sure he doesn't get hit. The pitcher, he sees what's going on at home plate, but the catcher has no clue.
Cubs need to find a way to attack Tadahito Iguchi. He has had a huge series. 5 for 9. 2 doubles, a home run. We mentioned the 4 walks, a couple of steals, 3 runs. Mets lead the Brewers 8-5 in Milwaukee. Sean Green with a home run.
You know, it's funny, Len, going on the other side with Chris Wheeler, and he was asking me about Tadahito Iguchi. He says, you've seen him a lot more than I have. The Crosstown Classic when Iguchi, a member of the White Sox. And I told Wheels, I think you're going to like this guy.
He's been really good here in a short stay, but he strikes out. And now Jimmy Rollins will come up. So Air has fanned 2 to start this inning.
I think that's the way to attack Iguchi. Show him some slow stuff early in the sequence when he's usually sitting on a fastball, and then late in the count, just rush him inside, especially up above the belt.
The line on Rich Hill, 4 2/3, 8 hits, 4 runs, 3 were earned. He walked 3, struck out 5, gave up a home run through 96 pitches. 61 were strikes, but he missed a lot right at the tail end of his outing. So Hill will get a no decision tonight. It's 1-1 on Rollins. The pitch. 2-1.
Now, the last 12 hitters that Rich Hill faced, 6 hits, including 2 doubles and a home run, also 2 base on balls. I'll tell you, when the wheels came off, they came off in a hurry.
Bullpen's been really good lately. Holding the opposition scoreless in 4 straight games. That ties the season high. They did it also April 10th through the 15th. Over 12 consecutive scoreless innings, including Air's performance to this point. Popped up by Rollins, but back out of play. One of the things Sarge said was he thinks Rhino is going to be a big league manager very soon. Really gave him a lot of credit. He said, look, a Hall of Famer going down to single A to manage. So it'll be interesting to see. And there he is in the house. Ryan Sandberg tonight. Fans are up. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Here's a pitch, and Rollins walks. Did you get a free Philly cheesesteak?
No. They didn't bring any with them, and although Wheel said he'd pick me up next year when we go to Philadelphia, so I got that going for me.
Pats or Geno's?
Either. I don't care.
Rick's?
Bring it on. Whatever they brought us in the booth
that was really good.
at the stadium there. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, Carlos Marmol cranking it up in a hurry down that left field bullpen. After Ryan Howard, you've got a streak of right-handed batters leading up to the 8-hitter Nunez, who is a switch hitter. Marmol would probably get Aaron Rowan should Scott Air run into any more trouble here.
The LoJack caught stealing report. LoJack, the only stolen vehicle recovery system operated by the police. Slider missing outside. 1-0 on Ryan Howard. An RBI double in the 5th. Struck out his first 2 times.
This is about as far as I have seen a third baseman play up the middle of the field with an exaggerated pull shift on for a left-handed hitter. I mean, Mark DeRosa is shaded a couple steps up the middle from the normal shortstop position. He is way over there.
everything pretty quiet here since the Phillies tied it the last inning. High throw, but fortunately Derek Lee is pretty tall.
That's where his basketball background comes in, goes up the ladder. He knows he's got that runner sliding in under his feet somewhere.
Just got a piece of it. One and two on Howard. Now they're starting to get up again. Well, for some reason, this game doesn't feel tied. Air went out of the balloon in the fifth. It's 4-4. Good knockdown by Kendall.
Gets him up on the right shoulder. Just held his position down there. Even if that ball stays down and tried to skip underneath, Kendall was going to be in good position to block it. Fortunately, that high bounce caught him on the shoulder.
Rollins walked with 2 outs. Good speed at first base. There he goes on the 2-2, and Howard strikes out for the 3rd time. Cubs try to get that lead back. 4-4, bottom 6. Fans will be treated to free samples from PromoWorks brand sponsors, including Kellogg's and Unilever. Also, lucky seed winners will have the chance to win valuable prizes throughout the game. There's no purchase necessary. For more info, visit Cubs.com. Former Cub Antonio Alfonseca now working. You see, 8 for 11 in save opportunities. He was filling in when Gordon and Myers were both on the disabled list. So Moyer went 5, giving up 4 runs. Angel Pagan on deck. Or Scott Air did a really nice job. And we're starting to see Scott Air, Bob, pitch in bigger situations, getting more responsibility.
We talked about it just a few days ago. Lou is a very forgiving manager. If you prove to him that you found your rhythm out there on the mound, you will get another chance.
Kendall grounds out to Rollins.
Fonseca with that exaggerated open front side. When he plants that left foot and starts to deliver the ball to home plate, he really steps toward the first base side. It's a lot of sink on that fastball.
Angel showed bunt, took ball one. Swinging away and fouling away into the second deck. Fonseca was acquired by the Cubs from Florida in the Dontrelle Willis deal in late March of 2002. It's foul. Led the majors with the Marlins in 2000 with 45 saves. Fonseca gets assigned from his catcher Ruiz. 1-2 pitch, a swing and a miss. 93 on the heat from Pulpo.
93 on the fastball and a 95 on the fist pump after the strike. Well, Fonseca likes it an awful lot. Challenges Pagan with a fastball down the middle of the plate. Now back around to the top of the order.
Strike one on Soriano. It's a foul ball. If you'd like to send us an email, the Coors Light Cold Blast to the booth. We could use a cold blast on a warm night. It's Len and Bob at ComcastSportsnet.com. Get a nice email from Andrew Skolnick. His grandmother Dolores Bitta played in the All-American Girls Baseball League and is in the Baseball Hall of Fame at the game tonight. Played first base and was a pitcher for the South Bend Blue Sox. Shattered bat. Rollins won't get it, and Soriano is on with the second hit. The barrel exploded.
I'm not so sure. That bat may have been cracked on that earlier pitch in the sequence when Soriano got that fastball way in on his hands. It made a funny sound when he fouled the ball off and then completely shatters as he lost that one over the head of Jimmy Rollins into shallow left field.
So the inning is alive for Mike Fontenot. And the only Cub in the original starting lineup without a hit. But as Bob mentioned earlier, he hit the ball hard a couple of times in his first two at bats. Four tie in the sixth. These fans are waiting for something big to happen. Cubs got the offense going early, scoring one in the first, one in the second, two in the third against Jamie Moyer. But Moyer, over his last 2 innings, gave up just 1 hit and no runs. for tonight, 0 for 20 since his 499th home run. The Yankees won 8-1 over the White Sox. Got a bunch of home runs again, but he was not one of those guys to lead the yard. Posada, Cano, Duncan, Jeter, Posada again, with no A-Rod on the home run list. Andy Pettit over John Danks.
You're welcome.
I do feel like I'm getting a little bit of a cold. All right. Paul Emmel clapping, saying, "Let's go, guys." That's the universal sign for "let's go." Another step off by Alfonseca, and the crowd getting a little restless.
Well, nobody really likes to see the pace of the game come to a grinding halt, but Alfonseca is just doing what he thinks he has to do to try to control Soriano over there at first base. He knows the kind of speed Alfonso has, and just to make sure he doesn't get into scoring position with 2 outs. Not only holding the ball, throwing over to first, that time very nearly a quick pitch slide step. Of course, with that much concern for the runner at first base, a lot of times that's when pitchers make mistakes to the hitter at the plate.
Nice little stare down here. Alfonseca clearly not happy with that last pitch, and Paul Emmel had his mask off, just kind of looking out as Alfonseca took a trip around the mound. Check swing on a 2-0, and it's now 2-1. Foul balls, Bob, that hurt in an at bat. I mean, it's 2-0. Check swing. You have that hesitation on a pitch where you really like to open up the throttle, and now all of a sudden Alfonseca back in it. Soriano runs. Here's a throw by Ruiz, and Rollins with a nice play to keep that ball near second base. 3-1 meanwhile on Fontenot, and all of a sudden the go-ahead run in scoring position. Could be a big stolen base, number 16.
Alfonseca with that quick step once again. Ruiz with a strong throw, however, in the dirt. Jimmy Rollins blocks it up nicely, keeps it right there near second base to hold Soriano to the bag there and not give him third base. But in scoring position for Mike Fontenot with 2 outs.
Well, Charlie Manuel jogged out to the mound. You could tell it. He had something on his mind, and it couldn't wait very long. You'll occasionally see managers almost sprint out to the mound with one specific set of instructions.
Well, as we've learned from Lou Piniella, it's usually not going out there to talk about the pitcher's mechanics. He's got something very specific he wants to say to the pitcher and or his fielders.
Him. Derek Lee will come up. That's what Alfonseca wanted to do. Don't miss any of the action as the Cubs take on the New York Mets this Saturday. Game time 2:55. Be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 will receive a Ryne Sandberg number 23 cap, compliments of National City. Strike on a fastball. Next pitch. Back of first. Long run for Howard. He's going out. And it's foul. Couldn't make the catch. It's called foul. No argument from Sinatra or Lee. Right down along that line, and Ryan Howard tried to make the basket catch running away from home plate and couldn't come up with it. 2 strikes.
Tough play. That's that in between, or do you try to turn around and square up to the infield and make the catch, or go ahead and make the over the shoulder catch? Ryan Howard chose to try to go over the shoulder and didn't come up with a new life for Derek Lee. Make it hurt.
Kick and the 0-2. Now a swing and a miss, strike 3. Cubs strand 2. We'll go to the 7th. It's 4-4. Question. Now that the non-waiver trade deadline has passed, what would you like to see? Text A for happy they stood pat, or B, still like some upgrades. So you like to see some moves coming up. The Cubs did make some moves before the deadline, but nothing on trade deadline day. We'll give you the results a little bit later. 4-4. We're in the 7th. Carlos Marmol with appearance number 34. He has been outstanding. Righties hitting $158 against him. And all right-handers due up in this inning. Rowan, Burrell, and Ruiz. Rowan tied it with a solo shot in the 5th. Gets under this one to shallow right. Merton coming on. Northwestern head football coach Pat Fitzgerald will sing the stretch coming up.
Boy, and once again, great job by Scott Air coming in to stop the bleeding in the top half of the 5th inning. Got the pitcher Jamie Moyer to fly out to center field, and then 3 strikeouts in the 6th inning. Good to see.
Kerry Wood expected to be activated on Friday.
Told you before the ball game I saw Woody very early this morning and asked him how it went, and he said, well, I walked the first guy. That's all the writers wanted to talk about after the game, but I told him I got squeezed on 2 of the pitches. So it's good to hear Kerry not talking about how his arm feels or his mechanics. He's talking about competing out there on the field, and felt even the 1 walk he had in the ball game wasn't justified.
Slider is over the plate. 2-1. Well, when he does make his first appearance of the year. It'll be his first action in the big league since June of last year. Been over a year. We'll have to keep an eye on the Cardinals, and they were throttled tonight, 15-1 in Pittsburgh. Tony Armas over Braden Looper. Cardinals 6 out starting the night in the Central, 5 behind the Cubs for second. Brewers still trail. They're in the top of the 8, 8-5 Mets. Oh, reached out and just staying alive.
That bat was a half an inch shorter. He'd have swung and missed at that pitch. That slider was really working its way away from Pat Burrell, able just to get a piece of it.
Cubs a half game back in the wild card. The Dodgers hosting the Giants, leading 1-0. Dodgers up in the second. Ball 4. Pat Burrell waited.
Oh man, looked like Burrell was ready to slam his bat down in anger. He thought that was strike 3. Maybe a little up when it crossed the front of home plate.
You're right. That was a called third in Pat Burrell's mind. We've seen a couple of calls the last 2 nights. Pitches that apparently were called high, but seem to be right near the belt, which isn't high. 5, 4, 3, double play, inning over, stretch time.
University head football coach Pat Fitzgerald.
All right, Cub fans, let me hear ya. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root for. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs.
For tie, Pat Fitzgerald, the Northwestern University head football coach, is with us in the booth. Jose Mesa is now on the mound, the third Phillies pitcher tonight. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back tonight, and we got a great ball game for all of us to watch and have fun with.
Another tight one here at Wrigley Field. The Cubs at one point led 4-1. Phillies tied it with 3 runs in the 5th inning, but we'll see what transpires here in the last of the 7th. DeRosa, Merton, and Cedeno against the veteran Mesa. With the shiny blue glove. Ooh. DeRosa had to vacate. I don't think it hit him.
DeRosa gets out of this pitch the correct way. That ball's headed right for him. Turn your head away, turn your body away from the pitcher. That way, if you do get hit, it'll minimize the damage. I don't know how this one misses it. Quick reflexes from Mark DeRosa.
It's kind of like a quarterback trying to get out of the way of a blitz.
We might be having a football game here in an inning or two. This is going to get interesting, I think.
So tell us about your club coming up this year.
Well, obviously last year, overcoming the adversity of losing Randy Walker, I couldn't be more proud of our young men and our coaches, but excited about 2007.
Fouled back by D-Roll.
We've got 16 returning starters, and majority obviously of our offensive production from a year ago coming back. 7 of our top 10 tacklers, and obviously year 2 of a new beginning, and really rejuvenated excitement in Evanston right now.
Bob Howery up in the Cubs bullpen. Here's a pitch. 2-1.
I would guess in some respects it'd be a little easier this year, the second year with the program. There's always challenges, obviously, but it's not all new and fresh to the players and to you.
Well, absolutely. At this time last year, we had a bunch of obviously nuances coming in with me as the head coach. And now as we move forward into this year, you think about last year's first team meeting, you think about all the opportunities of first time, first practice, so on and so forth. And obviously, I'm a lot more comfortable in my role, and I think our players are a lot more comfortable with the expectations that I have for our football program. And our young men are hungry. Obviously last year, 4 wins are not the destination for our program, and we're excited to start up here this Sunday.
2-2 pitch, and the count holds. Well, there you go. Former linebacker, in the mid-90s, leading the Wildcats to the Rose Bowl in 1996. So 51.
Well, being a Chicagoan, and this guy named Dick Butkus used to roam these fields, and this field here, obviously. And I had a choice of 51 or 56, and it was a no-brainer for me. And obviously, the top collegiate linebacker wins the Butkus Award. I never had that opportunity to achieve that, but it was just a great honor to wear that jersey, and a lot of expectation with it, too.
Good at bat, 3-2. Now, you suffered a broken leg, right? And were not able to participate in Rose Bowl, correct?
Thanks for the great memory.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I try to wash that out, but
Okay.
yeah, we did. No, obviously, I missed the Rose Bowl going into Pasadena, and it was a very difficult time. But I really use that now as I deal with our players that are going through the adversity of injuries. And, when they start feeling sorry for themselves, I told them I missed the Rose Bowl, and they're okay.
3-2 from Mesa, called strike 3. So obviously DeRosa didn't think that was a strike. Let's see where it was.
We thought it was up and in.
Boy, Coach, you bring up a great point about that experience. And the fact that you've been able to go through that adversity and you can relate and also relay that experience to your players.
Well, you're going to deal with adversity throughout your life. And when you're a competitor and you get injured on the field of battle, or football or baseball, whatever sport that you compete in, you're going to learn patience to come back off of that injury. And no competitor wants to hear the word patience mentioned about them. And it's difficult, more mentally than it is physically, to overcome those kind of injuries. And when you have taken something away from you that you love, it's just a slow road back, and you have to learn that patience quickly.
1-1 on Merton.
And you also learn how much hunger you have to get back. I mean, we talked about Kerry Wood an inning ago. This is a guy that's had more than his share of adversity in his career, but very close to returning to the big leagues and ideally being a huge contributor to the Cubs in the second half.
The key thing I talk to my players about is it's not going to be the yellow brick road when you do come back. You're going to have to overcome some rust. And obviously for Kerry to come back, I'm not a baseball manager, but as far as football goes, it's going to take some time to get your timing back, and more importantly, to get your mental confidence back, and to get back, especially as a pitcher at the major league level, to believe that you can go in there no matter what pitch you throw to strike anybody out that you want. And, the years that I've watched Kerry pitch here in Chicago, there's no better competitor, and I know the Cubs are all excited to get him back. But it would be unfair to put expectations on him to be back to his form from in the past.
Did you know you wanted to be a coach when you were a college football player?
Really, I knew I wanted to coach before that. When I was in high school down in Orland Park at Carl Sandburg High School, I knew from the growing experiences that I went through and the lessons that I learned through the great game from my coaches down there at Sandberg and Larry Lokink, my linebacker coach, and Tom Sleeger, our head coach. I knew that that's what I wanted to do, and then college just took it to a whole other level.
Hit foul the other way. Still 2-2 on Matt Merton. With Pat Fitzgerald, the head football coach at Northwestern, and you mentioned the late Randy Walker, and I think I remember last year talking to you about just trying to carry through a lot of the things that you were taught by Coach Walker. Well,
you talk about legacy, you talk about the values, and really as being a disciple of the people that you work with and you work for. And we tried to continue that on last year, and obviously we weren't successful with the wins and losses. But as far as the improvement and where we're at today, there's a lot of positive momentum, and we look forward to this Sunday.
Coach also had some time with the Dallas Cowboys. What did you find to be the biggest difference between college football and professional football?
Speed.
Speed.
Absolutely. And anybody that ever coached me or played with me understands that I wasn't the fastest guy in America. And just to have that opportunity was just a great opportunity to learn and grow and to be with some of the best athletes in the world. And that time there was maybe a cup of coffee would be the best way to describe it. But I wouldn't trade a minute of NFL football for what we experienced as a player at Northwestern.
3-2 pitch and another foul. Another good battle here. DeRosa struck out looking on a 3-2 pitch, and now Matt Merton in the same count. Cedeno after him. If anybody gets on, Jock Jones. 4-4 tie. Game 3 of a 4-game series. The Phillies won Monday night. The Cubs last night. And it was a football score, 7-3 last night.
On 70s night, correct?
On 70s night, yep. And that is ball 4. So a one-out base runner for Ronnie Cedeno. Now, how much will you sleep Saturday night? I mean, will you sleep well, or is that one of those nights we say, it's the last free night I'm going to have in a long, long time?
Well, I've got a 2.5-year-old at home named Jack and a 10-month-old named Ryan, so there's not a whole lot of sleep in the Fitzgerald household right now. But I won't sleep a whole lot that night. But really, I'll sleep a lot more than probably our freshmen who report on Saturday. Their anticipation for the varsity report and then for practice on Monday, those things for a competitor are obviously the things that keep you up late at night. Especially for that adjustment from going from high school to college and then being a high school football player to a college football player. I don't know if there's a bigger jump in sports than that. And every year is a new beginning. It's great to see those young faces as they report on opening day.
Cedeno, that was in the hands. 2 strikes on him. Jose Mesa certainly takes his time, and Bob seems to get rid of the ball pretty quickly.
Well, he does. He has that slide step. Tough to read over there. He's very sly when he comes to his set position. It's hard for a runner over there at first base to fully determine when Mesa has come to a set position.
They have made him work. Outside. 1-2 the count. How many Cub fans do you have on your team?
Oh, we've got quite a few. And it was funny when I was watching El Fonseca earlier. I remember when he was with the Cubs, and Ron Santo and I were mentioning about how 2-day practice might help him a little bit. So the Cubs are doing a great job here getting him in a workout. And obviously, when you're talking about a reliever, to wear him down a little bit to get a pitch here to hopefully put in play and make something happen.
Another foul by Ronnie Cedeno, that is. How's the other Ronnie doing tonight, Ron Santo?
He's doing great. Obviously very excited about this game. He was very impatient with Soriano on first and the stare down and the methodical approach to El Fonseca. But, I told him he has my vote. There's no question in my mind that that's a Hall of Famer there in the booth. And if they ask me, I'd definitely vote for him. And obviously it's just a matter of time. A great honor for me as Chicagoan to get a chance to meet just a tremendous person and a great ambassador for baseball.
Did he play piano for you over there? Bob calls it the piano bar.
It looks like a piano lounge with the little gold lamps over there.
No, he did not. We had a good time.
There ought to be a fishbowl full of $1 bills over there on the table.
1-2 on Cedeno. The next pitch. Swing and a miss as Ruiz kept it in front of him. 2 strikeouts in the inning, and it'll be Jock Jones to bat locally.
Well, obviously being from the south side, like I mentioned earlier, from Orland Park, we're going to start our recruiting always here in Chicagoland, and all 9 of our coaches really focus their area. They're here in Chicago, and we start and then we branch out throughout the country. And with Northwestern education, we can recruit the nation also. And we're going to try to attract the best and brightest out of us.
Howard will scoop it, and he'll beat Jones to first base. Coach Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern. Best of luck. We'll be watching this year, and I hope you get a lot of sleep Saturday night.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Howard had not been thrown out, but it's possible. Could be 5-4. We'll never know.
Well, Bob Howry's duty tonight is to keep it at 4-4, give his offense a chance to get back in the ball game in the bottom half of the 8th inning. They face the 8, 9, and 1 hitter in the Phillies lineup.
Nunez has been on 3 times, 2 hits and a walk. It's away, ball 1. Bob Howry's thrown the ball really hard, especially lately. 95 on that first pitch. Well, this is one of those notes. Well, I hate to do it on a 1-0 pitch. If he throws a strike, I'll do it. Well, it is a strike. Fontenot throws him out. So he's now faced 51 consecutive hitters without allowing a walk. Jason Marquis went 67 in a row back in late April into mid-May. So right now Bob Howry with the 9th longest current streak in the major leagues. Mariano Rivera 88 straight without a walk. That's why Mariano Rivera is going to be a Hall of Famer. Those closers, you can't get away with too many walks. Greg Dobbs batting for Mesa. Left-hander J.C. Romero, their lone southpaw in the pen, getting loose. 2 strikes. Nice catch by a fan in the front row upstairs.
You know, Len, one thing about the starting lineup that Lou Piniella ran out there tonight, and we talk about this all the time, when you rest your regulars, it gives you some very valuable weapons to use off the bench late. Lou Piniella has Cliff Floyd, Ramos Ramirez, and Ryan Terrio all available off the bench. And it looks like Charlie Manuel's going to go with that lefty. Jason Kendall scheduled to lead off the bottom half of the 8th inning, followed by the pitcher spot. Interesting to see who is dropped in there. I would venture to guess that if Kendall reaches, well, you never know. I was going to say you'll see Ramirez in that situation, but he may choose to go a different direction and bunt him into scoring position. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. The big key is to put a 0 on the board right here and give your offense an opportunity to take the lead in this ball game in the bottom half of the inning.
Well, we really set up things nicely for Ryan Dempster to come in to pitch the ninth after using Marmol and now Howard.
That's a frustrating feeling for a catcher. There's nothing you can do about it. That ball fouled straight back, rattled around the glove. Sometimes they hit right in the pocket of the mitt. Sometimes they hit down near the heel. You have no control over that and nothing you can really do to change it. You just hope it stays in the glove.
Still 2-2. I mentioned the wild card contenders earlier. The Dodgers leading. Cubs tied with the San Diego Padres a half game out. Phillies a game out. Atlanta just 1.5 back. The Braves did win. Cubs leading on the hit board 10-8. Tied where it counts 4-4. Another excellent catch. I think we just found a couple of 16-inch softball players up here. They can handle a hard ball. Round 11. Howery to Dobbs. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Took 11 pitches to get him. So let's get the results. The Comcast Sportsnet poll question. Now that the non-waiver trade deadline has passed, the fans are saying for the most part they would still like to see some upgrades. 63%. Well, it's still possible. Jim Hendry could make a deal or two. A lot of deals happen in August. Players involved have to pass through waivers. Roberson bounces back to Howery. And the inning is over as the Phillies draw a blank in the 8th. Kendall, pinch hitter, Soriano coming up. So it sounds like it's on the table here for the Cubs. J.C. Romero is on to pitch. If the Mets hang on and the Cubs can pull this one out, it'll be in a virtual tie for first in the Central, and because they played a couple of fewer games than the Brewers, actually would be up in percentage points. One strike on Jason Kendall, trying to find a way to get on base. Aramis Ramirez is in the on-deck circle. Well, it's a great chip to have, as you said. You take Ramirez out of the lineup, give him a night. Cliff Floyd, Ryan Theriot makes for a great bench late.
And nobody warming in the Philly bullpen, so Aramis will get an at bat against the left-hander here. If Ramirez hits, I mean, should Jason Kendall make an out leading off this inning, there's a possibility Luke could call him back and maybe send Ryan Theriot up there to take the at bat, try to get somebody on base for the top of the order. But the way Ramirez was preparing down there in the on-deck circle, I think he's going to take the at-bat regardless of what happens to Jason Kendall. We saw Romero's numbers when he came into the ballgame. He's walked more than he struck out this year, nearly won an inning. Came right in firing strikes to Jason Kendall. Count back to even.
He began the year with the Red Sox, was designated for assignment on June 9th, was released 9 days later. He's pitched for the Twins, the Angels, the Red Sox, and now the Phillies. A floater down the line. It will be foul. That had 2 written all over it.
Just a little bit too far out in front. A little side rotation on the baseball, hooked, just fouled on that third baseline.
Toward the hole, backhanded play by Rollins, and a throw to get him. That's that play you were talking about, I think, last night. Ryan Theriot did not backhand it. Rollins did. And a big hand for Aramis Ramirez, a pinch hitter.
Career pinch hitting numbers for Aramis Ramirez. This is only his second at bat off the bench this year.
To left, Burrell makes a catch. Big swing, but it didn't go very far. It was not near the sweet spot.
Nope. Just enough cut on that fastball inside off the plate. Ramirez unable to get the barrel on it, even though he tried to pull his hands in close to his body. Just got jammed a little bit. Soriano using a new bat this time around. You may remember back in the 6th inning, he got a base hit into left field and shattered his bat. Let's christen this one real good here.
Has a good count to do it. 2-0. A 4-4 tie. 3-0. That light has to be pretty green.
Oh yeah.
4-4 tie late.
No doubt about it.
The 3-0 pitch. He took it for ball 4. to see the move of J.C. Romero here. Lefty against lefty. To the plate. Soriano's first move is back toward the bag. One strike on Fontenot. Low ball 1-1.
So far, Romero not showing that move to first base. Never really sure if that means he's setting it up or if he just doesn't have a good move to first, doesn't want to show Soriano his bad pickoff move and give him an opportunity to get a jump and steal a base. Pretty readable move right there, but once again, he may have a better move than that. Some lefties will set up their best pickoff move with some subpar moves before. Another pick at first here.
And they have him, Soriano to second, and he got in. Going on that first movement, he just kept running.
The throw from Ryan Howard was just high enough to allow Soriano with that head first slide to get in underneath the tag at Jimmy Rollins. Much better move that time from Romero. Now the Cubs know a little bit about his pickoff move, and now with the runner in scoring position, Lou Piniella is going to push the button. Take down Mike Fontenot for Ryan Theriot.
In a 1-1 count. So he's taking the pitcher out on a 1-0 count, and he's going to go with Theriot. The runner at second. This chess match continuing between Lou Piniella and Charlie Manuel in a big game for both teams.
Well, Mike Fontenot's had some good at-bats against left-handed pitching this year, but he's batting only .237 on the season. Ryan Theriot, on the other hand, .273 against lefties.
This huge crowd of 40,558 making a lot of noise. Lou Piniella making a move you don't see very often in the middle of an at-bat. Takes Fontenot out, puts Theriot in. 1-1. Here's the pitch. A little bit outside. Well, going back to our softball conversation, the leagues, a lot of the leagues here, you start with a 1-1 count just to keep it moving. The 2-1. Good eye. 3-1. Lee on deck.
I don't know if Romero knows that. The way he's pitching to Ryan Theriot here, missed away with a changeup, came right back with another changeup off the plate, low and away to run the count to 3-1. Boy, Ryan Theriot is in a real comfortable position right now.
Swing and a miss.
And no activity in that Phillies bullpen.
It is a final. Mets beat the Brewers. It's all set up here. Three and 2 on Ryan Theriot. The pitch. Walked him. Rich Doobie, the Phillies pitching coach, with a long walk to the mound.
This is what you call a momentum drainer here. Trying to slow the Cubs down, get the fans back in their seats rather than on their feet. I don't think it's going to work, Rich. Cub fans just waiting for you to get back in that dugout so they can go crazy again.
Ryan Dempster's just watching from the bullpen mound out in left. He'll pitch the ninth. And all is quiet in the Phillies pen. You gotta love it. This crowd feels like the playoffs. The Cubs a half game out after the Brewers lost. Their 50th defeat. Here's Derek Lee. The pitch. 1-0. Soriano trying to steal third. He'll get there without a throw. His third steal of the night. Terrio is not running. And Soriano did that one on the pitcher. In fact, Ruiz never even thought about throwing to third.
You better make it. And he did. Made it easily.
It's a career high 3 steals for Alfonso. Meantime, 2-0 on Lee. Two and 1.
2-0 slider from Romero, not willing to give in to Derek Lee. I wouldn't expect to see Terrio do anything over there at first base unless Derek Lee ends up in a 2-2 count, at which point the Cubs may try to steal a run. You send Ryan Terrio, you hope Ruiz makes a bad throw to second base. Try to sneak Soriano in the back door.
Romero needed to take a walk. Ryan Howard's going to try to help calm him down. Abraham Nunez coming in from third.
Well, he wanted the first pitch of the sequence, a fastball inside. This one he felt had the knees, went across the front of home plate. Didn't get the call once again from Paul Emmel. Finds himself in a 3-1 hole to one of the most dangerous hitters in baseball. Make it hurt.
Romero walks Lee. Phillies might make a change because J.D. Durbin is very quickly getting ready in the bullpen. He's a right-hander. And they are loaded. Back-to-back walks, all with 2 outs. Durbin was originally scheduled to start tomorrow, but when the Phillies acquired Kyle Loesch, they put Durbin in their bullpen.
I don't think there's any way Charlie Manuel can leave his pitcher out there on the mound. He's been visibly upset on several pitches. Well, we talk about the fact he just doesn't throw a lot of strikes. He's walked more than he struck out on the season. Very nearly won an inning, 3 in a row here in this inning. But it looks like Charlie's going to stick with him.
They're also trying to find a way to knock in that go-ahead run. Called strike. Huge numbers for DeRosa with the bases loaded. Big grand slam against Atlanta in early June. 1-1. Soriano at third. Terrio at second. Lee at first. Trying to squeeze out 1 run at the very least. Single could score 2. Kick in a 1-2 pitch. Check swing. They're going down to first, and Iasonia said he held up.
Good change up down low from Romero. Looked like it was going to be a borderline strike at the bottom of the knees. Just fell out of the zone. Nice job by DeRosa to hold up.
On the 2-2, popped him up. Shallow right. Tadahito Iguchi with a beat on it, and he makes the catch. So Romero walks 3 with 2 outs, but escapes to the 9th inning, 4-4. Post-game live. Get highlights of all the action, analysis from Dan Plesac, plus check in on Lou Pinella's post-game remarks. Don't miss Cubs post-game live immediately following the game right here on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Ronnie Cedeno moves from short to second to accommodate Ryan Theriot, now playing shortstop. Ryan Dempster will pitch, so Ramirez used as a pinch hitter and now out of the game. And this is as important for Ryan Dempster as if the Cubs led by a run. You're basically trying to save it here, keep it tied, and then you get one in the bottom of the inning and you can get a win. How about the bullpen? It's tremendous again. Even giving up a hit. Air, Marmol, and Howry. 2 walks, no hits, no runs.
4 strikeouts, 3 of them coming from Scott Air.
It's 2-1 on Iguchi.
Well, if indeed your closer is the guy you want out there late in the ball game, it's the time for Ryan Dempster working his way through the middle of the Phillies order. The 2-3-4 hitter scheduled to hit. Good slider.
In a game in Milwaukee, Oliver Perez improved to 10-7. He has a 3 earned run average, having a terrific year, even though he gave up 5 runs in 6 innings. 4 were earned. Claudio Vargas really got knocked around. 7 runs in 2 2/3 to take the loss. This is going to be trouble. Jones will lay out. He caught it. What a catch. Might have gotten a late start on that ball, but he finished.
Well, remember, he had Gucci hit a ball over his head in the dusk the other night, so naturally he freezes in his tracks when he sees that ball go up. Makes a nice recovery, a sprint to the spot. Great diving play by Jock Jones. So huge to keep that leadoff hitter off base in front of Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard. Jock has been busy out there in center field in this series.
He dived for a ball earlier that he could not get. One and one on Jimmy Rollins. Also in Milwaukee tonight, Billy Wagner with his 25th save of the year. 1-2. Brett Myers has joined J.D. Durbin. Myers, the Phillies closer.
And then you were talking about the, well, let's call it a greeting that the fans in the bleachers gave the Phillies players today during batting practice. And Brett Myers was shagging out in left center field and eventually backed into the doorway out there in left center to get away from the wrath of the fans.
Yeah, they get up close and personal.
Trying to hide.
It's 2-2 on Rollins. The pitch just reached out off the end of the bat. And he fouls it along the left field line out of play. At first base is your option. DeRosa really has to be cognizant of getting to third because Rollins could just keep on going.
Well, and Jason Kendall comes into play there as well. If that ball is hit in such a position that DeRosa can't get over to cover third base, he would have to rotate. Jason Kendall would have to go down and cover the bag, or Ryan Dempster would have to get over there and cover the bag.
They appeal and Howard held. A 4-4 tie. The last run was a home run by Aaron Rowan. Swing and a miss. That was back in the 5th.
Slider down and in. Howard swinging right over the top of it. We've seen him chase that pitch. We've also seen him chase up and in with fastballs in this series.
Three balls, 2 strikes.
A lot of times in this situation, Derek Lee might think about moving right on the hip of Jimmy Rollins over there, playing right behind him and then retreating quickly with the pull hitting Ryan Howard at the plate.
He goes on the 3-2, swing and a miss. Here's a throw. And it's slowed down by Terrio. Again, another big play, keeping Rollins at least at second base. He is in scoring position. He needs to walk that one off.
It looked like that ball got Jimmy Rollins in the rib cage as he went into his slide down there at second base. Kendall's throw tails back into the runner. Terrio got a piece of his glove on it and then looked like a ricochet into the ribs or hip area of Rollins. Actually just caught him flush in the ribs.
The former White White sock hearing the Boo Birds. Aaron Rowan. He's hit 2 huge home runs in this set. 3-run shot in game 1. That proved to be a game winner. Game tying home run tonight. And he's batting in a huge spot. Tie game, runner at second, 2 outs in the ninth.
With a base open, and especially now that he's ahead in the count 0-1, a chance for Ryan Dempster to expand the zone here on Rowan, trying to get him to chase a bad pitch. Another good slider just off the outside corner. Now you really got him in a hole.
Rollins headed to third, and it's outside. So he does what Soriano did in the bottom of the 8th.
And just off on first movement of Ryan Dempster. Another stolen base where Jason Kendall didn't even have an opportunity to make a throw.
Good look at the signs from Kendall. 2-2 on Rowan. The kick and the offering. Where was it?
That may have been up a tad.
Barely missed again. Pat Burrell bats first and third, 2 outs. Well, these fans have been hanging on every pitch. And Brett Myers shaking hands with his bullpen mates. He just threw a complete game in the Phillies pen. Been getting loose for a long time. I think everybody down there just needs a cup of water. I've said it many times, we'll say it again. You have to be around the plate against Pat Burrell. He's had good numbers against Dempster. He's walked twice tonight. As discerning an eye as just about any hitter in this league.
Just enough late movement to take it off the inside corner, and then the body language by Burrell trying to make it appear that it was even further inside than it really was.
2-1. Dempster nearing 30 pitches here in the ninth. Fans on their feet. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rowan running. He'll take second. Close pitch called ball 3.
If you're guessing, you'd have to think you're going to see another slider here down low and away. That's the pitch that Dempster got Pearl to swing through earlier in the sequence.
The 3-2, and they are loaded. This is starting to mirror the top of the 9th, or the bottom of the 8th, I should say. And J.C. Romero walked 3 with 2 outs before getting out of it. Bases loaded with Phillies. Carlos Ruiz is the batter. And this is all up to Ryan Dempster. Nobody getting loose. Bunch of free bases for the Phillies tonight. 7 walks, a wild pitch, a hit batter, an error. 3 steals. And the steals all in this inning.
All 3 in this inning.
Three on, 2 down. Strike 1 on Ruiz. You know, Ryan Dempster's been in and out of some jams here lately. Given up a lot of base runners, but has found a way to get out of it. Bouncer to Ryan Theriot. They get the out at second. Cedeno covering. So we'll go to the bottom of the 9th from Wrigley Field. Merton, Cedeno, Jones due up 4-4.
It's tough to regroup after the first 2 pitches that Matt Merton has seen in this at bat. An over-the-top curveball right down the heart of the plate for strike 1, and then either a split or a straight changeup. The bottom just fell out of.
Worth coming in. He'll dive. He can't get it. And Merton's going to try for second. He'll get in. Head first. It's a double. The winning run is at second base.
Merton watching the flight of the ball, but running hard down the first baseline. That ball was in and out of the glove of Jason Worth in left field. Fortunately, Aaron Rowan fanned on it right there. They may have had a play on Merton at second base if Rowan comes up with it cleanly, but the redhead in with a double.
Jason Worth with his first action in over a month. Could not quite get it. Cedeno has to turn away. Ball 1.
Boy, the way Ruiz went after that ball, I think he was crossed up right there, and then he immediately ran out to the mound to talk to Myers. Ooh, cross up on the first pitch to a hitter with a runner at second base.
in the bottom of the ninth in a tie game.
Oh.
2-0.
Good take by Ronnie right there. Another breaking ball up high, let her high over the middle of the plate. Easy ball to pop up if you're trying to bunt. You can get the ball down. Something where you can bunt the top half of the ball. Make sure to get it on the ground, preferably toward third base.
Got by everybody, and Merton will take third. There's a slight hesitation for Matt about halfway from second to third. That ball really caromed hard off the bricks. And it's 3-0 on Cedeno, and they might just walk him now. We'll see. They might just walk Cedeno and Jones.
Yeah, you may see a couple of walks right here. Another fastball that just runs up and in under the chin. Merton saw that ball get away from the catcher. Then he saw it hit the bricks. Thought he might have to go back to second. Ruiz, much like Aaron Rowan, fanned on the ball when he attempted to pick it up, allowing Merton to advance on to third.
Like the Phillies were asking down to first if either Cedeno got a piece of that ball or if he didn't pull the bat back. Doesn't matter. Still 3-0. Infield in. He turns away. That's ball 4, and Moyer struggling with his command. Jock Jones, the hitter. Rich Doobie will walk out. A little chat strategy. Jones currently, Kendall on deck. A drama-filled night. Bench coach Jimmy Williams.
Jock Jones with ridiculous numbers against Brett Myers in his career. He's 5 for 9 with 3 doubles. That's why Jimmy Williams is waving the 4 fingers. Letting everybody on that Phillies infield know that they want to go ahead, put him on base, and take their chances with Jason Kendall.
I can't believe how much has gone on here the last couple of innings, and not a run has been scored. The Cubs trying to push home the winning tally in the bottom of the ninth. Each team with chances. Like Abraham Nunez was waving.
Yeah, Ruiz went into his crouch behind home plate as if he were going to call a pitch, and Nunez came sprinting in from third base. He knew that an intentional walk was called for from his bench. And now the Phillies will pass Jock Jones. Now, in a situation we're going to see here in a moment, Len, everybody's going to be playing in. Phillies infield will be playing in. The outfield should move into a position where if they catch the ball, they can throw out Matt Merton at home plate. Now, in my humble estimation, I think a lot of outfielders play too shallow. You can usually play a few steps deeper and come in on the ball so you have some momentum going toward home plate. If you play too shallow and have to back up even a step, you're not going to be able to throw out Matt Merton at home plate.
So a new Cub, Jason Kendall, trying to win it. Here we go. Strike one.
Well, so far that breaking ball is the only pitch Myers has been able to get into the strike zone.
Merton at third, Cedeno at second, Jones at first, a double and 2 walks. The 0-1 pitch. Jason lost a handle on his bat as he made contact. 2 strikes on him. Cliff Floyd on deck.
Floyd also with great career numbers against Brett Myers.
The 0-2 pop foul out of play. Again, the Brewers lost tonight at home 8-5. Cubs can get a run here in the ninth. They'll be in first place. Swing and a miss. Strike 3.
A cutter on the outside part of the plate that just continued to move away from Jason Kendall.
Cliff Floyd against Brett Myers. Each team has loaded the bases in each of the last 3 half innings. And to this point, no runs. The Cubs trying to change that and walk off with a win.
Big numbers against Myers in his career, including 3 for his last 4.
Time called for the 72nd time the last inning.
Well, Myers shook off the first pitch that Ruiz hung down there, and Ruiz just gave the sign for a changeup. Just one sign, nothing else.
It kicks away. Merton will score. Cubs win. The first place Cubs win. So Cliff didn't even have to swing the bat. The Cubs are in first place for the first time in the National League Central since April 12th of last year. The last time they were in first this late in the season, August 1st, 2003. So the Cubs took advantage, Bob, of the lack of command from Brett Myers in the bottom of the ninth.
Boy, it's a beautiful thing. Matt Merton with that hustle double to start the inning paved the way. That's a beautiful sight, isn't it?
It sure is, and the Cubs with a chance to win 3 of 4 in this series.'re going to go down to the field. Josh Morris standing by with a guy who scored the game winner.
All right, Len, thanks very much. Did you guys know when you started the inning that first place was on the line?
We were really not aware of it. I mean, these guys were battling all night. Our bullpen did a great job. We were able to get a guy on base and able to find a way to win the game.
Crazy last couple of innings there. Take us through sort of the bottom of the 8th through that last inning.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, our guys battled throughout the entire game, gave us some really quality at bats and gave ourselves a chance, and that's all you can ask for, especially when you're in a race. Give yourself a chance to win late in the game, and we found a way to do it tonight.
When you were able to get yourself on to start the inning, what were you seeing as you rounded first and let you know you could take second?
I saw the ball come out of his glove. He made a great effort on the ball. Ball popped out, and at that point I said, I got to get to second base. So I guess the emotions took me over a little bit, but we made it.
And what did you see on the wild pitch?
The wild pitch there at the end, there's a breaking ball in the dirt, kicked by him. Fortunate enough, it didn't hit off that break and come right back. And what can I say? It was a great team effort. A lot of guys contributed early in the game with a lot of big 2-out hits. We found a way to win.
And for you to have gone down to Iowa earlier in the season and to come back and be able to contribute to the win that gets you guys back into first place, just your thoughts about that?
It's huge. I mean, I got to give the Lord credit. You know, he brought me back here, and you know, the big thing is just I'm thankful for the opportunity. You know, anytime you get a chance to help a team win, that's what it's all about. I'm happy to be here, but more happy to be able to contribute to a win.
Absolutely. When they get you guys in first place, congratulations.
Thanks so very much.
All right, guys, the white flag is going to fly in a couple of minutes, but in the morning, the Cubs flag will be atop the center pole out in center field. Guys?
Thanks, Josh. Cubs win. What a thriller tonight. 26 left on base combined. How about Ryan Dempster, Bob? Got out of it in the ninth. with no damage, and he gets the win. He's 2-3 on the year.
Well, it wasn't easy, but Debs was able to come up with the biggest pitches when he needed them the most. What a great team effort tonight. Everybody in the lineup contributing. Great job by the Cubs bullpen once again tonight.
Great job by our Comcast Sportsnet crew as well. Bob Albrecht, our producer, our director Dave Turner, Tamara Anderson, our associate producer. Also thanks to our stage manager in the booth, Christine Charbonneau, Roberto Rios, our technical director, Jim Corno Jr., our executive producer, and our entire crew. The W flag is up. Cubs win. They're at first. They'll go for the series win tomorrow. That will do it for our game coverage. Stay tuned for post-game live. Once again, the final score tonight, the Cubs 5, the Phillies 4. Our next Cubs telecast here on Comcast Sportsnet will be Monday night from Houston. It'll be game 1 of a 3-game series against the Astros and the start of a 7-game trip. Game time 7 o'clock Central Time. In-game scoring provided by ScorePad. And now for my partner Bob Brendan, for Josh Mora and our entire crew, this is Len Casper. You've been watching exciting Chicago Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. Good night from the friendly confines.